think this stuff would work. Are you there? Can't hear you. You have your mic turned off.
Just let me know when we're live, pal. I'm just coming back.
We've been live.
What? What?
Did you tell me not to go live? You said go live.
I'm just fucking with you, man.
Ooh, I've had a bad enough day already, man, with enough scares, and then your audio not working. Don't pull. just remember, I am fat. I can have a heart attack easily. That will be on your hands.
Man, how about this? People are going to get tired of us, I think. Don't you think? We're
already sick of you.
I'm sick of you too, but in the best way possible.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, guess what?
We're here.
DEF CON 1. DEF CON 1 is live right now. The very first, from what I'm told, I have to throw that out there in case somebody comes and says, I did an online convention in 1927, From what we know, DEF CON 1 is the first online convention. Yes, it was born out of crazy times we're going through, but that doesn't mean that it's not a concept that we are going to try to transcend this time in our history with. So we are, as I've told some people, we are ironing out some stuff in real time. So if it looks like I go off to the side there, it's because there are still people coming to the green room. Ticket holders are still coming to the green room. I'm approving them. Just kind of letting everybody know how things are going. Look, best laid plans, right? We've pulled this thing together in no time at all. I think we've done a phenomenal job. We've got one hell of a lineup. As of, was it yesterday, we announced Heavy Metal Magazine is now a partner of Romero Pictures Indie Brigade. And a partner in the Romero Pictures Indie Brigade DEF CON 1 first online convention. I'm your host, George C. Romero. With me as ever is my ever faithful and present producer extraordinaire, Joe Ridgely. Joe, that's a nice hat you're wearing.
Well, thank you. You know where I got it?
Where'd you get that?
I got that at romeropictures.com.
That looks like an LE.
It is a limited edition.
Boom.
And as soon as this con is over, like a day or two later, all the limited edition Wings ones are going bye-bye.
Gone forever. But we do have our new Scare Tactical line. So this is, if I die, film it. That's my sort of mantra in life. If I die, film it, and I say it to everybody. But Scare Tactical is a line of clothing that we've released to help us raise some money to launch the Veterans Compound, which is incidentally one of the main things that we're trying to achieve here with DEF CON 1 as well. So thank you to our ticket holders and everybody who helps support this. Your money is going toward a very good cause of helping us launch the Veterans Compound, which is my program for veterans of military, to sort of help them process what they've been through the creative arts of filmmaking, music, things like that. We are working feverishly to try to launch it this year so that we can get to work helping as many vets as we can. Thank you. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's going to be the thing that Romero Pictures leaves this world, beyond movies and beyond everything else and beyond the Indie Brigade. The Veterans Compound is something that's very near and dear to me. And I'm just so thrilled that everybody believes in it and is helping to support it. So thank you all for being here. We've got a pretty tight schedule. We've got a lot of people. So I say we just go ahead and kick off the very first online convention, Romero Pictures and Heavy Metal Magazine's DEF CON 1, the first online convention here at Romero Pictures Indie Brigade.
Oh,
what do you think about that, Joe? You want to jump right in?
Yeah, I'm going to bring Scott up, and I'm going to bring David up. Our first guest of the evening is
Excellent.
Mr. Scott Schiaffo.
How are you guys?
Hello, gentlemen.
What do you guys think?
First of all, before the lovely Scott Schiaffo, I want to say to all of you guys, I'm extremely honored to be a part of the very, very first internet convention, and a part of the Indie Brigade, and now your amazing partnership with heavy metal. It's all astonishing, and congratulations. You guys did an amazing job.
Thank you, David, and we're proud to have you, man. David has a show on the Indie Brigade called The End of the Night. It comes on at 11 o'clock on Friday nights after our show. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to get learned. And if you have seen it yet, then you know exactly what everybody you know is missing. So tell everybody to come check it out.
Yes, everybody come on Friday nights right after the great show that George and Joe put on. I follow them up with The End of the Night, and you never know what chicanery and shenanigans we are up to.
We're all about having fun here and spreading good energy, good vibes, good all of that stuff. But let's get to what everybody's interested in, which is certainly not any of the three of us on this screen.
That's for sure.
Everybody's here to see Mr. Scott Schiaffo, dear friend of the brigade, one of our first guests, dear friend of David Madison's, and first official guest of the first official online convention. What do you think about that, Scott?
Well, I am honored. I'm very happy to be here. Dave Madison, as you just said, is a good friend of mine, and also but we have a nice professional relationship, but moreover, we have a personal relationship. So when Dave calls up with something, 9 times out of 10, it's just a yes before I have to really hear any of the details. So that, coupled with the fact that George, I've followed some of the shows prior, and I know you're a real stand-up guy, and you got a really awesome thing going here. So this is win-win. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Thank you, man. That means a lot to me. You know, I got a lot of respect for you too, and your continued support means the world to me. So I appreciate you. You're on the East Coast too, right?
Correct. Yes. Dirty Jersey.
Oh yeah. Well, I appreciate you kicking off your Saturday and spending some time with us here. You know,
we actually have somebody down in the lobby that would like to ask a question, if that's okay.
Let's do it.
You
ready? You ready for your first on screen? Let's do it.
All right.
Proof theory.
Frank Farrell.
Frank Farrell. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, Mr. Frank Farrell has no audio.
Hi, Frank.
My mic was turned down. Hey, guys.
Oh, there
Hey, Frank. How's it going, man?
It's going great. I'm happy to be here with you today. I am wishing success to the whole venture, and I think it was really a wonderful thing for you to come up with to sort of give people some kind of a fun thing to do out of nowhere in the midst of all this.
Thank you, Frank. You're on with Mr. Scott Schiaffo.
Hi there,
and
Scott.
David Madison here, and me, and Joe Ridgely. What would you like to talk about with Scott?
Gosh, I have almost no idea. I was planning to be a passive observer, but
oh, okay. You showed up, and people that showed up down there are actually brought up to ask the guests questions.
So, boom! Now you're on the spot.
Well, that was the only way I could connect, apparently, on the page. That's the only thing I saw. In any case.
All right. Well, I could drop you back down. I got other people down there, and if you think of something, raise your hand, and I'll bring you back up.
Okay, great. I may do that. Okay.
Thanks.
This is cool. We just proved the concept works, though.
Concept does work.
What the fuck? This is awesome. Scott, tell everybody what you're working on.
Well, currently I'm working on the Audible version of my book, Vicious Dogs Attack Me in Sleepless Nights of Summer. It's kind of a long time coming, but since the book was published in 2012, 2013, the world of audiobooks has exploded and grown, especially in the last year or two. So now the Audible, what they offer authors, their deal is really sweet. So I'm hunkering down and getting that done now that I'm really stuck in the studio. But you know, to be honest with you, because I'm such a homebody and I love being in the studio, this whole thing with the virus hasn't really changed a lot of my MO. I go out, I try to stay out of the supermarkets as much as possible, but I'm a studio guy, you know, virus or otherwise. So this has been great to have the time to work on the audiobook. Quick plug for Darkness Waits, Libby McDermott's latest film that was just released recently on Blu-ray. I know Dave is in that cast along with me. So that's something else I'm also looking to pimp.
Well, we got you. We love Libby. Early fans of the brigade, early supporters, and early members of the brigade, and we love everything that Libby does. So, and we love everything you do too. And but I just think somebody just had something to say, but I wasn't. Was that you, Joe?
Got another person that would like to come up.
Do it.
Okay. Well, I'm trying not to interrupt. Steve.
Is that me?
Steve, are you there?
That's you, buddy.
How are you?
I am here. I'm fine. I just got pulled in. I'm still trying to hear. You may want to go to somebody else. I apologize.
No worries. All right.
Hey, there we go. Well, Joe, you're actually you're being too good of a producer today, Joe. What did you take some? Did you take some focus medicine, or what'd you do?
It's too early to drink.
You're doing too good a job, man.
What you don't realize is that Joe Cat's behind the scenes pulling the strings.
So I have a question, and maybe I can cue this question up, and maybe David and Scott can talk about this because, Scott, you said something about you're enjoying this time in the studio, and you don't mind avoiding places like supermarkets. I don't mind avoiding those places either. And for a lot of us, like even my wood shop, my wood business is here at my house. So I work here most of the time and I'm perfectly happy with that. But, a lot of people aren't. And, it's interesting. I'd love it if you guys would just kind of talk about the creative process, because a lot of trouble that people who watch the brigade are running into right now is that they're stuck at home and they feel like their creativity is being blocked. For somebody who is comfortable in that space and doesn't really run into that as often, maybe you guys could talk about that a little bit, just sort of the creative process in the face of isolation and something that makes you, that generally is making people freak out and not be able to write and not be able to play song. I know a lot of people who say I'm screwed right now and my creative is just toast. How do you battle that?
Well, I think that it's unfortunate. The reason why we're all, locked away in our studios in our home is such a stressful, scary thing, along with other things that are happening out there, the political environment and whatnot. I think possibly a lot of that does sap people's ability to let loose and just, tap into the muse and create. What I'm doing, I'm not creating something new currently. I'm reading and recording the book, but I spoke to a good friend of mine recently who's a screenwriter and a producer director, a fellow named Tom Zanka. And I said to him jokingly, I said, guys like you and I, especially writers are used to being, locked away somewhere and just it's them and their writing device. But he had said, unfortunately, he's so stressed out with worry and concern that it has affected his creative process. And in all honesty, I don't know. I don't really have a nugget of any type of wisdom of how to break through this, because it is a crazy, fairly overwhelming thing we're dealing with here. It was hard enough getting through the very sort of minefield of political wackiness out there, and then you throw this thing on top of it, and it's kind of hard to just kind of let go and let the muse take over. But I don't know, David, what do you think?
It's actually a totally different scenario for me. Generally, I am alone a lot with my daughter going to school, and she's very involved in school, and she's in after school programs and gets home 5 or 6 o'clock every night. And my wife working, I'm usually home alone for majority of the time. And now I'm not for the last, 16 or 17 days. Both my wife and daughter have been home with me. So it's kind of like, it's not conducive to working, but it's also kind of like summer fun. We're taking hikes. We're riding bicycles. I mean, we chose to live a life of isolation on top of a mountain in Pennsylvania, so it doesn't really affect us as much as it affects everybody else, I guess.
Yeah, but then they get to see all the weird stuff you do when you're home alone.
I assure you, they know about all the weird stuff I do. My middle name is Dave Weird Stuff Madison.
Oh man, this is really cool. What's up, Joe?
Well, we had somebody, but they just never mind.
Guys, can you talk? I'm got the real time stuff happening. I've got one of our guests actually calling me. Joe, can you drop me down for a minute?
Wow, that was amazingly quick. You know what you need? We need to get like an effect of like from Star Trek of somebody beaming when they have to be like.
They should fade in and out.
Yeah, that'd be kind of wild. So Scott, you know what the thing that sucks the most is if this wasn't going on, I'm sure tonight, because it is a Saturday night, you, I, and Brian would be out at a theater doing a Q&A after Wits End. I don't know if this date would have been one of them, but it was going to be soon. So it really sucks how this particular set of circumstances has affected almost everything we do in life.
Yeah, we did talk about that recently, you and I, and it really is a shame because theatrical releases now it's a different world. It's not that, it's very difficult for a lower budgeted film or an indie film to get a theatrical release, period. Everything's going straight to streaming. And you have a wonderful film that I'm very happy to be a part of. I'm in the cast, plus I got to do the music, and I'm excited for it. And boom, who would have thought that this type of thing would sort of derail a theatrical release? Because it's difficult to get a theatrical release for a smaller film. And, again, that's another bitter pill we have to swallow. But I guess now more than ever, the online streaming venue or outlet to get your film out there is not only a blessing, but people have the time to pop in and check so much out now that they might not have had. So I guess there's some way we have to try to make lemonade out of this big old lemon called the coronavirus.
It feels like everybody has been snake bitten. Especially you, Joe, you. I like doing that. You.
Well, I'm going to ask up here, Steve, are you ready to come on for a second? You got to either shake your head, yes or no. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I can't hear you down there. We're going to bring up Steve with a question for Mr. Schiaffo.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, how you guys doing? Sorry about the take one there. I just wanted to basically ask, you kind of touched on what I was going to say initially. So just maybe, do you have any kind of pointers for anybody that's kind of on a more, you're talking about writers, but what would you say if anybody that is having trouble kind of getting projects going right now or kind of living under this quarantine? And if you just kind of had any tips on how do you stay creative in times of kind of downtime or stress or, the outside world kind of crumbling around us? And I know you kind of talked about that a minute ago, but, I'm just kind of off by about 5 clicks today, I feel like.
Oh, we all are, Steve.
Yeah. So I'll just keep it with that.
Scott, you want to take this one?
Sure. Well, thanks for joining, Steve. Very much.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, that's a very difficult question because of the situation. If we were all locked into our hub of creativity, whether you have a studio or an office where you work, or if we were there for different circumstances, aside from something this crazy, it's hard to kind of put that on the back burner and just tap into the muse. I like I was mentioning, I feel fortunate. What I'm doing is I'm reading and recording my book, but the book was done quite a while ago. It's not a new work. I worked a little bit on some new music recently, and that was nice to take a break from recording the book and then just get into a place where I can let loose musically. But it's difficult. I think you have to, whatever your support system is, you have to tap into that support system, hopefully get energized from that support system, and focus on whatever your medium may be, whether you're writing, if you're a film director and you're planning on working on a film in the near future, just do as much as you can do with just you and your tools in your office or studio. But that's a difficult question. Dave, you have some thoughts?
I went in a totally different direction, Steve. I found something. Find something that you're nostalgic about, something that you liked when you were younger, and I kind of immersed myself into. And this is going to probably make you laugh, Steve, but I'm an old fart. But when I was like between ages 5 and 12, my family used to religiously watch the Waltons. And for some bizarre reason now, every night the freaking Waltons is on for like 6 hours on the Hallmark Channel.
It is.
And I sit there like a mental patient, worrying about what's going to happen with John Boy and Mary Ellen in 1939 during the Depression. So it's kind of like you escape from your current reality, and little things that trigger memories from when you were younger kind of allows you to step outside of where you are at the moment.
Right.
How old a fella are you, Steve?
I'll be 35 next month.
35. You're still a kid. So, I mean, what was one of your passions when you were a teenager? It was like Saved by the Bell or Boy Saves World or...
Oh, man. And when I was a teenager, I would say that I was completely obsessed with like things like the X-Men cartoon. When I was more like a tween thing when I was a kid, like the X-Men cartoon, stuff like that. I really loved. As a little kid, I loved like black and white stuff like Night of the Living Dead, any kind of older horror films, James Whale stuff. When I was a kid, I just grew up on stuff like that.
Apparently, you're a brilliant guy.
Oh, that's the first time I've heard that. Thank you.
No, anybody who was a teenager and watching James Whale films, why don't you tonight, because they're very accessible, get some popcorn and some soda or whatever your goodie is of choice, and watch Frankenstein, The Bride of Frankenstein, Dracula.
You don't have to twist my arm for that.
Have a universal horror-a-thon.
I'm down.
And I assure you, 5 minutes into the first film you watch, you will not be thinking about the coronavirus. You'll be thinking about how cool is that? This fucking Karloff,
Yeah, right.
And those things are what made you who you are. If those were what you were passionate about as a kid, they will then engulf your passions to be creative today. I assure you.
Absolutely.
I mean, I wrote my film Mr. Hush when I was 1978. The very first movie I went to in a drive-in theater was The Outlaw Josie Wales.
Wow, that's
and
awesome.
I was watching The Outlaw Josie Wales, and when I was watching that movie, it inspired me to write my film Mr. Hush, because essentially it's a film about a man who loses everything.
Yeah.
So
I have to. I apologize. We're on a time schedule.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, 7 minutes.
Thank you, guys.
So
I apologize, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Nice
Thank
meeting
you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
Sorry, we got other people.
Scott, I'm sorry. Did I use up all of Scott's time? Maybe you should phase me out because I talk too much.
no, we're good. We're good. Bring up the next one.
We got AJF90. I don't know what that and his mic.
AJ, what's up, buddy?
What's up, AJ?
Your mic is muted, AJ. Oh, all right. Oh, his device. I didn't do that. His device disconnected.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
If he would have typed it in the private chat, I would have asked the question while he was on screen. So that is an option, AJ, if you can do that. If you can get back on. Let's see.
There it is. Still here. What's up, guys? Sorry, he says. It's interesting. I was listening. I was on the phone with a guest, but I was also listening to what you guys were talking about. And that's a good point you guys were making about if you're stuck, go back to the things that distracted you when you were young. Go back to the things that made you fall in love with doing this shit for a living in the first place, and turn off the damn news.
Absolutely, George, because you go back and you look at that stuff and you see the little nuggets that you don't realize are really part of your foundation, part of the things that make you who you are.
Yeah, but you got to turn off the news too. It doesn't matter what news you watch, you got to turn it off, because nothing can, unless you decide that you're going to write something about the coronavirus. Turn it off. Turn it off. Get out of your own head. Don't be in your own way. Let's see. Here we go. AJ wants to know about some experiences you had early on working on Clerks, one of his all-time favorites. Maybe one story or two, maybe there.
Okay. Hey, AJ, thank you for that question. Well, it was obviously none of us knew at the time that 25, 30 years later, we'd still be not only talking about the film, but the film would continue to find new audiences, and fans have now gone generationally, where parents are showing it to their kids once they're age appropriate, that is. That was a very exciting time in my life, period. Late 80s, early 90s. I was really making my way as far as a musician and an actor. And I saw the audition notice, and I lived quite far from where that was all happening, but it didn't matter, because back then, indie filmmaker shooting a film in New Jersey was very, very much, not a common thing at all. You either had to go into New York City, or, if you weren't in New York or out in LA, there really weren't too many other places to get your acting career going. But luckily I saw the ad, and it was about an hour and a half drive away. And I had gone down, and I got into a little bit of a situation out on the beach. The auditions were being held at a theater near a small beach community down in South Jersey. And I was there very early. So I went out on a jetty and I began rehearsing, and I was getting into it physically and flailing my arms about and whatnot. From the shore, it must have looked like there was a lunatic out on the jetty, because some people had called. It wasn't the police proper, but it was like beach security, and then the police actually came because they thought somebody was out on the jetty who might have been either behaving erratically, suicidally, or inebriated or whatnot. So they called me in, and I told them, listen, sorry, I'm about to audition right up the block here at the theater. So if you're going to arrest me, can you do it after these auditions? But they were very nice about it. They said, well, just stay off the jetty and go to your audition. So that is a wacky story that, obviously stuck with me all the years later for Clerks. But I can't say enough about Kevin Smith's fans. They're really wonderful people. They really get it. They embrace it wholeheartedly. And it's hard to articulate just how blessed I've been. See, Kevin, that was a dream come true for Kevin, but along with Kevin's dream coming true, all of us, our dreams, I literally, my dream was to be a character actor in an indie film that would get a lot of attention, so I can continue on, opening up doors for myself as a character actor. And it was pretty mind-blowing to have that dream realized. So I don't know. I hope I answered, AJ.
By the way, I'm sorry I got so close up to the camera. I had to type something.
No, it's I'm doing the same thing. I've got actually Kevin is messaging me right now. He's trying to get connected.
Kevin Smith?
No. Kevin Van Hentenryk.
Oh, Kevin.
I always get tongue-tied over his last name.
Basket case, yes.
Yeah.
I sent him the link. I wasn't sure what was.
I would like to say hello to Kevin if he's going to come on any moment.
Well, he's up next, but he's saying he's installed Chrome 3 times and he's still getting browser doesn't support.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Did you try Firefox or try a different browser?
Well, talk amongst yourselves for a couple of minutes. I'm going to talk to him really quick and see if I can figure this out. I'm just going to mute my mic. Feel free to leave me here if people want to watch me type. Otherwise, you can drop me down.
Not really.
I'm just typing back to AJ. AJ, thank you so much.
I got the world on a string.
What browser are you guys using?
What'd you say?
What browser are you guys using?
I'm using Firefox.
Is that what you're using, Scott?
Yeah, I've got Firefox up and rocking now, but I have Chrome installed, and I also have IE, which I haven't used in ages, but I'm not having any trouble with Firefox.
And I'm on Chrome. So
And it astonishes me, Joe, because where I live, literally, it's tin cans with strings between it. So the string must be really vibrating today.
no doubt. Let's see. Well, we knew there may be some glitches.
Hey, JC.
Hey, JC.
And
Are we waiting for somebody to
Mariah.
pop in? Or hey, oh, there she is. Hey, how are you? Hope you're doing better. I know you've had some challenges health-wise.
Scott, why are all the beautiful women like you, Scott?
Oh,
gotta be the
now,
hair.
Come on.
it's got to be the hair.
Damn you, Scott.
Oh, it's funny.
Speaking of Scots,
Like toilet paper?
I have to shout out to it. Actually, very pertinent because we were talking about how do you stay motivated as an artist during these times and whatnot. David, you know Scott Meany. Scott Meany, the artist.
That right there.
There he is. I've worked on a number of projects with Scott over the last 7 to 10 years, and Scott, in my mind, is the quintessential artist. In that, art chose him. You know, he no matter what the medium, whether he's doing an illustration, a visual piece of art, writing, directing film, writing screenplays. The guy just is a real monster as far as genuine, true artist, in my estimation. And I love the guy.
Well,
But
even more importantly, Scott, is that he's a wonderful guy.
well, that's right. He's a sweetheart of a dude to on top of it all. But we had that same discussion about how, as artists, and especially Scott has basically been insulated or isolated in his home/studio creating art, whether there's the virus situation or not. Of course, he's social when we were allowed to go out and kind of meet. But, how you keep that muse going during these times it's not an easy thing because we are consumed with some very, very stressful outside influences, whether it's the political climate or now this virus. But the beauty of what we can do now with technology is we can be isolated in our studios and get things cooking. What I missed that?
Which one? We got Scott saying, "Hey guys."
Hey, there he is.
What's up, Scott?
Speaking of the devil, Mariah piped in something quickly. I wanted to be sure they're finally getting better. I love the visual. Oh, great. Thank you. I'm so glad you're doing better.
And we got Lance.
Oh, hey, Lance.
Sorry, I'm bouncing back and forth because
That's great.
what we got to do.
Hey, we have to pimp Darkness Waits. It's the sequel to Dead Woman's Hollow. Just was released recently on Blu-ray. Killer movie. Not just saying that because I'm a part of it, but I was speaking with Libby this past week. I think like most artists or actors, I'm super critical of myself, and rarely can I sit through a performance of mine where I'm not cringing. But they did a hell of a job, not only with the casting and the editing, but the pacing of the film. And I'm so happy to be a part of it. My character, seedy, small town mayor, sort of bookends the movie in a sense. And I got to work with David. David's in there as my character's strong arm, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. So I'm so happy that it's out there now on Blu-ray. Darkness Waits. Check it out if you can. You won't be disappointed.
All right, AJ's back. He thinks he has his problem fixed. AJ, you there?
Guys hear me?
Hey, I can hear
Hey,
you. There you
AJ.
are.
Good. I had to go to my podcast setup, so audio's good now.
Yeah, we can hear you, brother.
All right, Scott. Thank you for those stories on Clerks. So, what have you guys talked to this with Steve for a little while? But what are some of the stuff you would recommend to somebody like a critic like me who doesn't have a whole lot of newer films to at least review for a while until all this quarantine stuff is settled and films start being released in theaters again? What would you recommend to somebody like that in this past time to kind of pass the time?
I think David mentioned this earlier. I would look into, go back to what inspired you or to what motivated you to do what you're doing, and maybe pick a genre or pick an actor or a director and go back and stream and check out a block of their work. And maybe in a retrospective kind of way, you could write a piece about that. Obviously, new things are coming out all the time on streaming, but like you said, theatrically, we're kind of at a standstill here. So that is a little bit of a rough spot because there's nothing like seeing a film in the theater with a crowd. I don't get out as much as I'd like to, virus or not, as far as seeing films in the theater. But there's really kind of nothing like it on the big screen, shared with an audience right there in real time. But I would suggest going back and revisiting some of the films that inspired you years ago, like or directors or actors. And now so much is available streaming, you can do a block of Hitchcock. I just had my lady friend and I, we take care of her mom, as well as my dad's safe in a rest home, thankfully, but we see her mom several times throughout the week, and we had her uncle over, so we had two folks in their 90s. So what we did was we watched Rear Window, Hitchcock, which Jimmy Stewart and Grace Kelly and Raymond Burr, and such a powerful, powerful film that was sort of age appropriate for our folks in the 90s, because these were stars in a film that was popular when they were younger adults. So everybody enjoyed it, and it was a wonderful experience. So I would suggest something along those lines.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott.
Or even do something like a retrospective of 80s vampire films, because there's so many wonderful 80s vampires films. You could do Fright Night, you could do The Lost Boys, you could do Near Dark, you could do Frangella's Dracula. There's just wonderful, wonderful source material there.
I've been meaning to go back to Near Dark too, so that's perfect.
Near Dark's a great movie. You're going to really like it.
All right. Thanks for
Be well, AJ.
You guys too.
Thank you. Very cool. You got Abram saying, I dig the tips.
All right, Abram.
Let's see. Did I miss anything? Darkness Waits did say thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Like, I didn't say anything.
Zing!
Holy cow. What is...
Scongili pasta basure.
Are you getting all Italian on us?
Yes.
Okay.
Even though
How's
I'm
Kevin
Irish.
making out?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Scott.
How's Kevin, basket case Kevin? I want to mangle his last name.
Van Hentenryk.
Hentenryk.
Get me off the screen already. I'm actually waiting for George to get back to his seat, and then we're all going to scramble. I can take you off screen now if you like, Scott. If you have, I know we took you longer than, or we kept you on longer than expected. I do apologize, but you're so.
I thought I did. Well, I'm in for the long haul either way, but I didn't know if it was it an hour slot or a half hour slot or whatever it is.
Half hour slot.
Oh, all right.
George chewed up a little of your time, and so did David, but we're not going to mention that.
Oh, not a problem. Listen, I'm here to, like I said, for the long haul, and it's very nice some folks piped in and are supporting this. I'm going to be in my studio all weekend doing the audiobook, so I'll be piping in and out. If you guys need to reach out, please do.
All right. We will catch you next time. We appreciate you being on, Scott.
Be safe,
Got it.
Scott.
All right.
George, turn your mic on.
Mic's off.
That was
Thanks, Scott. Now Scott's gone. Thank you, Scott, for being our first guest and being a good sport and kicking it with us for a few extra minutes. So this is going pretty cool, I think. Kevin was having some issues getting connected. Do you have him yet? No. He's going to try a different laptop.
Gentlemen, I need to tap out for about 5 minutes.
Do you think?
And if you want me to come back, I'll come right back.
Awesome, David. We're here all day, man. So pop back in, stick around.
Anytime you see me in the little box, Joe, you could just pop me on.
I appreciate it, sir.
I got something that I'm being called for.
No problem.
Fair enough. Thank you.
So what do you think? DEF CON 1 so far, huh? It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. I'm glad that people are getting asked questions, and
I'm glad that people realize that this is the first thing of its kind and that there are some glitches that we are dealing with in real time. We are doing our best to address them as it all happens. So thank you all for your patience. This is something nobody, I think, has ever really tried before. And we are coordinating a whole lot of people in a whole lot of different areas of the country and of the world. So, you know, I couldn't be happier about things. And I hope that all of our ticket holders and everybody who's watching and participating is having as much fun as we are. Scott is awesome. What's up, Ed? I think it's really cool that he was our first guest, and I think it went really well. I'm glad AJ got his stuff worked out. You know, we are a few minutes behind with Kevin, but we'll make that up over the day, I'm sure.
What I need to let everybody know is if you're down in the lobby and you've already been on, I'm going to have to kick you out. And when another guest comes on, if you want to hop on, by all means, but I got to kick you. I need the space down there. I'm limited on space in the lobby. So don't be offended, please.
Yeah, but it's all real time. Look, we're already talking with some other bigger platforms about a much more sort of enterprise solution for these online conventions that will still work with our streaming solutions. But you know, it's like anything. You do anything the first time, you've got to figure it out. You got to figure out the issues. You got to figure out everything. And we don't have all the money that all the big companies are throwing at some of these concerts they seem to be coming up with, and other ideas they seem to be coming up with after the announcement of DEF CON 1, I might add. So, you know, we're indie, we're punk rock, and we're bootstrapping this. So, you know, welcome to the digital garage band scene, if you will. We're working on it.
Frank, get out of my lobby.
Pretty cool.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so let's just go over some housekeeping really quick while we're waiting to see what's up with Kevin.
Cool.
Let's see. We've got all of our guests who have official merch to sell that they sell at conventions and in the real. You can go to you can just search, if you haven't found it yet, the DEF CON 1 guest storefront. I don't know if you have those links or not, Joe, but we'll make them very public.
I do not. I mean, it's a simple Facebook search.
I can read them. It's a simple Facebook search, but the links themselves are somewhere on my page right here as I scroll Facebook while I'm on a live stream. Where in the hell are they? Let's see. Okay, here we go. The groups are called RPIB DEFCON 1 guest merch, and RPIB DEFCON1.vendor tables. Those are our 2 vendor groups. The first one is for all of our guests and panel members. Any official merch you get from them at conventions or from their websites, you will find direct links to their stuff in the guest merch group of DEFCON 1. To visit our vendor tables, go check those out, because this is something else really cool that we're doing. We have absolutely free vendor tables and vendor listings available for DEFCON 1. And the thing about it is, while DEFCON 1 is live streaming for 2 days, the vendor table group will stay alive under the Romero Pictures Indie Brigade and Heavy Metal banners forever. So whenever we market, whenever we promote, the vendor tables will be listed in those. You do have to be approved to be in the group. There are very easy things to do to be approved to be in the group. You go to our Romero Pictures Indie Brigade proper page and send us a message about wanting to be a vendor and what you want to vend, and we'll get you listed in the directory. And then, look, we're not saying that you need to drive your traffic through our group. What we are saying is that if you put your links there and we push it and promote it, then at least it's potentially another point of sale and another point of contact for some sales for you. There's a rough time, and a lot of us have lost a lot of revenue due to conventions being canceled. So if we can do anything to help, that's what we're trying to do. Joe has a question. Kevin!
Gentlemen, my sincerest apologies. We've been messing with this since 2:30.
No problem at all. No apology necessary. I'm thrilled that you're here, and I'm thrilled that you're part of this.
Thank you. Thank you guys for doing this. What a cool idea.
Thank you very much. It's a lot of people got really screwed with this convention circuit getting canceled.
Oh, and, yeah.
They lost a lot of money. They lost part of their livelihood, and there's people out there, artists who don't have 401ks and don't have backup plans, and we're living through this indie art world without a safety net.
There are artists with 401ks.
Never met one yet.
Me neither.
Kevin, what's going on? Where are you at in the world? Are you staying safe? Are you staying healthy?
Yeah, we're pretty good. I live just west of Woodstock, New York, at the base of the Catskill Mountains. It's fairly rural. It's getting a slow start in this area. There are some cases being reported now in Greene County. There's 2 ski slopes there. So what's happened is everyone has come up from the city to their second house and brought it with them. But, for me, I'm back and forth between here, which is the office, and the studio. So I live a fairly solitary life as it is.
It's funny. That seems to be a running theme with a lot of people. I do too. My wood shop is here at the house, and I run all the business out of the house. And I do.
What sort of woodworking, man?
Oh man, fine woodworking. I've been doing it since I was a kid. Anything you need. We do a lot of custom furniture, a lot of
nice
like that. What do you do in your studio?
I'm a figurative stone carver.
Really?
So I'm sit in the woods with an air hammer making stuff out of pieces of stone.
That's kind of incredible. I think we should probably talk after the DEF CON about. I have a feeling we could talk for hours about just making shit.
Oh yeah. Well, we humans are a hands-on species. That's the disconnect with our current culture.
Yeah. Well, maybe. What do you mean by that? Let's talk about that in terms of the creative spirit. A lot of what I talk about with the members of the brigade is that inner creative. I call it the inner creative, and it's that thing that you have to learn to trust, right?
Exactly.
And so, how does that, because you're out there with an air hammer pounding rocks and things like that and creating art, what does that do for your creativity and your spirit? I mean, does that keep you sane? What's your whole motivation for that?
Well, we artists kind of require that, I've had this a lot, in the past. My dad was one of these, when you're going to get a real job kind of guys. But for someone who is an artist, it's a requirement. It's a need. It's not a choice. Our species tries to interpret our world, the world we're born into. That seems to be a natural predisposition for us. And the way we do that is through art. Art is therapy. Art is not a luxury. Art is therapy. And we humans are based on tactile, hands-on work. I teach, for example, here's a little plug. I teach a free 2-week stone carving class up here in the mountains. It's tentatively scheduled to be starting in July 20th.
Okay.
But you know, you sit down someone and explain to them or have them read about stone carving, it goes way over. But if you put the tool in their hands and give them a little bit of instruction about how it works, I've had 4-year-olds carving in 20 minutes with an air hammer.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I want to take your class. I want to learn.
You should, man. You should.
I want to learn that. You know, I do a lot of leather work, and I taught our son how to work with leather about 4 years ago, and now he's even surpassed my skills with it, because I think I picked up the leather work later in life, but he picked it up when he was young, and I think
you start him early. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and now he's getting into the woodworking and all of that other stuff, and it's unbelievable to watch him learn that. And now I'm building a forge. I'm going to teach him how to forge some steel and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. But I would love to learn. I would love to learn what you do. That sounds just incredible. We had one second, because we had a couple of comments pop up, I think, about Basket Case. So I think that we've got some fans who don't want to hear you and me talk about I think we've got some well, Josh says, as a starving artist who got hit hard with this recently, we appreciate this. Josh, we appreciate you and all the artists out there. You know, I mean, I say this a lot, and once we get to these comments, I want to talk about this with you for a minute. But you know, so where are these comments? I just saw them. Here we go. Basket Case was epic and a mainstay in a horror collection. Mr. Basket himself, we appreciate you doing this so much. Basket Case is godlike cinema. Let's respond to that. What do you think about that?
Thank you.
You know, what was that experience like when Basket Case found its audience and people went crazy for it? Because I was one of them.
You know, thank you.
What was that experience like? I mean, to be part of something so awesome.
Well, it's been a slow motion thing, you know, and we have to do a shout out and a mammoth thank you to Joe Bob Briggs. He was instrumental in this. Frank tells the story better, but the original distributors had put out a cut version of it, which was ridiculous and awful, and it wasn't doing well. And Joe Bob wanted to have it on his show, which was based around drive-ins, if I remember right, and wouldn't show the cut version. So Frank got him an uncut version, and he showed it, and people loved it. And so the original distributors just started, without fanfare, switching the copies to the uncut version, and then it took off. So Dr. Joe Bob, thank you.
That's a really cool story.
It's true too.
Oh well,
he's a great guy. If you ever have a chance to see him at a con, you should go just to say hello to him.
Yeah, Joe Bob.
Yep.
Yeah. I've met him before, and he's a very nice guy. It's unbelievable, you know. And that's something that I think it still kind of throws people off a little bit in this business, you know. There's a perception about folks who do the horror stuff that we're all, you know, a little fucked up and evil. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know, and it turns out like most of the nicest people I know make horror movies or are involved in the horror world or are just artists. You know what I mean? And this is what I wanted to double back with on you about, is that, you know, I believe, and this touches on something you said earlier, I believe that people need to remember that the artists are the people who tell the tales of any time in history. We're the ones who write the books, who make the statues, who carve the furniture, who make the movies. We're the ones who immortalize all the major pieces of history. And I'm not trying to make artistry sound over important or self-serving or anything, but I really do believe that the artists are the ones who tell the tale of time. What do you think about that?
Well, In fact, and people that follow me on Facebook can tell you this, the corporate model, which has taken over the globe, has nothing to do with real life.
That's right.
They have the entire planet chasing the dollar, and it's not even a real thing. It's a fake construct. So, yeah, art is the real thing.
Yep.
That's the real deal. That's the guts and the fire of life. And that's what we humans live for. The greatest crime the corporatists have pulled on our species is convincing people that it's about making a living instead of making a life.
That's a really good way to put it. And I like the guts and the fire. I agree completely. It's, art is art's what gives you the butterflies in the stomach on some level. You know what I mean? Art is what makes you nervous to talk to somebody. Art is what,
with like, any luck at all. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't get nervous walking into a boardroom. You get nervous when you meet people who do things that you respect and admire. And a lot of times that is art, and man, I got to tell you, it's a big deal for me to be talking to you right now.
Thank you.
Basket Case has such a good space in my memory filing cabinet. It's not even funny. I remember like hiding VHS copies of it from my mom. Not my dad, but my mom was like, "You're not going to watch this stuff," and I was like, "The hell, I'm not." And, it was great. And actually Basket Case, she and I had a big fight over that one, and she didn't even watch it. It was just over the cover. She was like, "What are you watching?" And I said, "It's great."
And who was this you had a fight with about it?
Oh, my mom. Yeah. My mom and my dad had very different views, obviously, on the horror genre. And my mom did not want me to go into it. But it's funny. She was one of the first female vice presidents of an advertising agency back in the Mad Men days.
Excellent. So, congratulations.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, she was part of the corporate world, and then there's my dad, who was the antithesis of the corporate world. So, I was doomed to some level of creativity.
Slight contradictory set of motives.
Yeah, but it worked out, I guess. So, well, listen, where can people find, if people want to, find out more about you or what you're doing, or find your stone carving, where can people do all of that?
Well, I do have a Facebook page. Yes. Kevin Van Hentenryk. There's 2 Facebook pages. Through Facebook ineptitude, I lost control of the first one. That's the one that has a picture of me in a black shirt with the basket. It's the other one that's actually me. And I have a website. It's kevinvanh.com. Got shots of some of my sculpture there, shots from the sculpture class, which is called the Hunter Stone Carving Seminar, which you should all come by and try. And you can get in touch with me through either of those methods.
Very cool. What do you think about? Oh, Joe's up here. That means something.
Nope, I'm just getting prepared.
Oh, what? What is this like?
We're on a certain time schedule. I'm sorry, and
we have this thing called Blame Joe around here, and I don't know what's going on with him today. He's doing such a good job. Like, I have nothing to bust his stones about.
Yeah,
today.
And my apologies for being late. I had no idea it would take that long to get this technology together, and I owe Lucy a big thanks because I couldn't do it on my laptop. We're on hers.
It's no problem at all. We appreciate you doing this and being a part of it. And
oh man, my pleasure. Thank you for doing it.
It's fun. We're just going to see what happens. It's live. There's going to be glitches, right? So I thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and stay safe and healthy.
You guys too. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Next time. Thanks.
Boom.
That was cool.
That was super cool. That was super cool for me. I had a little fanboy moment.
Give me 1 second to do. Talk amongst yourselves for a second.
What do you mean amongst yourselves? It's just me.
Okay. Aren't you used to that?
I talk to myself enough around the wood shop and around the yard and around public places.
Let me just find my next scroll, and we will pull up our next guest. There it is. All right. And we didn't get to do a sound check or anything, but she is standing by. I am going to pull her up. If you would kindly introduce this awesome lady.
Miss Christine Elise, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Loud and clear. Perfect.
Great.
Wow. It looks like a gorgeous day behind you over there.
It's relentlessly gorgeous here. It's Los Angeles. It's always like this.
Yeah, I know, right? It's about the only thing I miss about it, though. So,
Talk LA.
yeah. How are you doing? How? Thank you for joining us here at DEF CON 1, the first online convention. This is crazy.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going to happen or how this was going to work out, but here we are.
Has it been going well?
Yeah, it's going great. And you know what? I got to thank you too, because you were one of the first people to give the Indie Brigade a good luck shout out before we ever did our first episode, and that really meant the world to me.
Oh.
And yeah, so this is the first time I get to thank you face to face.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So how's life? What's going on with you? You of course know my ever faithful and present and amazing producer extraordinaire, Joe Ridgely. How did you guys get to know each other? How did you meet? How did this all happen?
Approached her to get on my original show one time, and she said yes, and I was just fanboying out there.
Boom. Okay. Well, we got the story. Welcome to the Indie Brigade, DEF CON 1.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So what's going on in your life? What are you doing these days? What's happening?
What is anybody doing? I'm self-quarantined. I live alone. I have 2 dogs, and I do a lot of drinking and a lot of watching TV.
It's crazy out there, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I get to walk around my neighborhood now with the dogs, and I go to the grocery store every once in a while, and that's the extent of my life outside of my house, you know? Grocery stores are sort of fear-inducing. I don't have any real experience of what's going on in the world, except for when I'm at the supermarket, and suddenly it's super humbling to have all the shelves barren. It's an unusual experience for an American to have, that supermarkets don't have food in them, you know?
Yeah, I know the stores around here didn't even restock shelves for like a full week. It was kind of one of those, and I live out in rural Kentucky, and it was kind of one of those, if you didn't get your stuff last Tuesday, like you don't get another chance till next week.
Yeah, that's freaky.
Yeah, it really is. It's like living in Red Dawn. You got to scream Wolverines when you run down the hill toward the store.
Exactly.
Listen, tell everybody about your book. Let's start there, because and then we'll talk about this again at the end of the window here. But
It's all right. I have a copy of it right here. There it is.
Boom.
Bathing and the Single Girl.
Okay, tell us about it.
It's dirty comedy. It's a novel. It's not a memoir like everybody thinks. It's not a memoir. It's a dirty comedy. It's not erotica. It's not sexy. It's awkward and horrible, regrettable stories of dating and sex and struggling in life in general.
All right. Why did you put this out? Let's talk about a couple of reasons why you put it out. Let's go with the first. Why'd you put this book out?
Well, the story started with, I live in Hollywood, and there's a theater at the bottom of my hill called the Upright Citizens Brigade. And for a long time, they had a show there called 4 Stories in the Cover. And it was 4 people reading like a 2,000-word true life comedic essay about their own lives, and then somebody would do a silly cover song. So 4 stories in a cover. And I used to go to it all the time. And my friend and I challenged each other to submit a piece to it. And I did. She didn't submit ultimately. I did submit, and they let me do it. And so I read it, and then people were like, "Wow, it was really funny. You should have recorded that so you could prove to your agents and stuff that you're funny," because I'm not allowed to read for comedy because no one's ever seen me do a comedy. And then they want you to show footage of yourself in a comedy before they let you read for it. And that's that 22 loop, or if you don't give me an audition, I'm never going to get a job. Without a job, you won't give me the audition. So what the fuck, you know? So I did it again, and I did at a different theater and did record it, and I posted it on Facebook, and a friend of mine who's a big, really talented DP saw it and said, "That's really funny, but it looks really ugly. Let's make a short film out of it," which I ultimately did. It's on if you go to bathingbook.com, it's there in the film tab. It's a 10-minute comedy short that I did 100 film festivals with. And in the course of that, people were like, "Wow, that's really funny. If you can come up with more stories, you should really write a novel." So I did. So it's kind of like snowballing, but always somebody pushing me to go a little further. It's never been my own sort of self-motivating that got this accomplished. It was people encouraging me from the peanut gallery, you know. And so I did. I wrote it in like 8 weeks, and then I submitted it to agents in New York. And one agent took it. She tried to shop it for a while, and the feedback was all really flattering, but still, like, this book is so funny. He's such a great writer, but it's not for us, you know. So all these really nice compliments, and then followed with no, fuck off. So the basic feedback was that the book, it was set up initially as sort of with a romantic comedy device to get it off the blocks and going. And then it got sort of darker and more grim. And she said that people who like romantic comedies are going to start the book and be really disappointed with where it goes. And the kind of readers who would like where you end up with it aren't going to get there because they're not going to like how you started it. So you're going to have to either rewrite, half the book and either go more mainstream or go darker. And I wrote half the book again and I went darker. So, and I'm much more proud of what it is now. It's the proudest thing I've done I'm proudest of in my life. And I've done a lot of things, a lot of different creative things, a lot of different, ways of photography and acting and writing. So, and cooking and my channel, my YouTube, like I do a lot of stuff, but that's the thing I'm proudest of. I think it's genuinely hilarious. And that sounds immodest, but I'm really confident that if you're not easily offended, you'll find it funny. And it's not a chick book. It looks like a chick book, but it isn't.
It's not immodest at all. Joe's pointing at his microphone.
No, I'm pointing down. We actually have somebody who would like to ask a question, if they may.
Do it.
Rob, are you there?
Rob?
Hey, how are you?
Excellent.
Hey, Christine, I want to say you were awesome in the reboot, the 90210 reboot. I think you were my favorite person.
Oh, thank you so much. It was a really
Fantastic.
fun show. I'm glad you liked it.
Yes, I hope somehow it can come back.
I don't think it's gonna. I really wish it would. I was really proud of that too. I think everybody in it was really brave and really funny, and I thought
everyone was great.
So much smarter than it might have been had they just gone with a straight reboot. I think that would have been sort of pathetic, to have the same people at 50 years old. Like, do you want Brandon still working at the Peach Pit at 50, still serving mega burgers?
Exactly, it was a great twist.
Yeah. So I feel like people who wanted like the Brandon and Kelly storyline still got it. But instead of calling them Brandon and Kelly, they called them Jason and Jenny. He still got this drama with those people. So I was proud of it. I was super disappointed it didn't go. But that's a tough crowd to get together. It's a tough group to get all in place.
Well, I'm enjoying all your posts on Instagram and your recipes. And I was wondering, have you ever thought of writing a vegan cookbook?
I get that question a lot, and the answer is no, for a couple of reasons. One, you have to be I couldn't get my book published because it's comedy. I had to self-publish it because comedy is considered subjective. Well, it is subjective, I suppose, but it's harder to predict how an audience will respond unless you're somebody like Tina Fey or, Amy Poehler. So people who are established comedians can put books out and get them sold, and it works the same way for cookbooks. Cookbooks are really expensive to produce. A novel's not, it's just paper and black ink. But a decent cookbook has to have nice color pictures, and that's super expensive to do. I couldn't afford to put one out on my own dime, and I'm not a famous enough chef to have a publishing house take a risk with me for it. So, but the thing that confuses me most about people asking about that question is, why do you need a cookbook? It's free. Everything I'm offering you right now is free. The channel is free. I don't know why you want to spend $35 on a book.
We're going to make the one you posted today. We're going to make it
tomorrow. I posted 3 today. What are you going to make?
The bean one.
Black eyed peas?
Yes, the black eyed peas. Yep.
Let me know how
we're going to make that. Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, Rob, for your question and joining us today.
So I that was cool. So look, this is working. We're actually proving that this online convention thing can work. Right. I mean, and it's one of those things that makes me think, like, why are we the first ones to come up with this? But
because your hand was forced, no one can leave. No one can leave their house. And you can't, if you do leave your house, you can't leave it to go meet up with anybody,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But, necessity being the mother of invention here,
Yeah, I agree with you, but it's interesting. So I like to, I'm a big cook too. and I get some cookbook questions all the time, and you sound just like me when I say the same thing. I just put my recipes out on social media, and I don't know, on the one hand, it'd be great if somebody wanted to, support or whatever and throw some money at a book. But you're right, to go traditional publishing routes is just, it's ridiculous. It's so cost prohibitive. It's not even funny.
And also because of social media, everybody in the fucking world is famous. It's like famous now. There's 6-year-olds making multiple $1 million on their YouTube channels, opening boxes, opening toys. So people with massive YouTube followings. My following on YouTube is it's less than modest. It's like 6,000 people. That's not even on the radar as far as what YouTube traction can look like.
Oh yeah, we don't even touch that on YouTube. We get most of our traffic through our Facebook, but we're working really hard to kind of move those efforts across all the social media right now. So.
It's tough though. Like if you got in 5 years ago, it would have been an easier haul.
Yeah.
There's so much content out there, and people are really good. They're really good. Like everyone knows how to edit, and everyone's got a sense of humor. I'm really impressed with how many people out there really have their shit together.
I know, it's crazy, but you know what? It's also kind of birthed a new style of content, right? Because I'm not bagging on anybody on social media or YouTube channels, but there's a certain something that I've seen some of them try to transition into making feature films, and the language of the YouTube and the language of the social media, it doesn't translate to longer form stuff, I'm noticing. And, I'm wondering if we're going to see a shift in that, or if we're going to see a shift in how longer form content is approached to make it to sort of like, I hate to say it, but almost dumb it down for the smaller content. You know what I mean?
No.
Does that make sense?
No, I know what you mean, but like, how would dumbing it down manifest? How do you mean? Like,
well, I mean, like, are we going to see a shift in, say, feature like studio level quality or studio feature films? Are we going to see that stuff kind of like lower? And again, I don't mean to use negative terms here, but I'm not sure how else to say it. Are we going to see them change the way that they approach their long form content to make it more appealing to the traditional YouTube, or make it fit together more? Or is there always going to be a disconnect between big feature length, big budget stuff? And because like you said, some of the stuff these guys are doing on YouTube and stuff, I mean, it looks super professional, but then if you see them try to tackle longer form stuff, it just seems to kind of fall short. And I'm not sure where that disconnect is coming from, or because you've been involved in some massive things. Well, I'm curious what you think in terms of like, how do you see the two worlds? Do you see them ever kind of becoming one completely?
No, I don't think so. No, I think that like one of the reasons I'm so proud of my book is because I was the only one involved with it. It was just me. Didn't have an editor. I had someone do a spell check, proofreader go through it. I paid a proofreader to correct misspellings and grammar here and there, but I didn't have anybody editing the content of the actual story. And I'm really proud of it. Like if you love the book, then you love what I wrote. If you hate the book, then you hate what I wrote, and I have no one else to blame for it. I think that big budget stuff is harder to make work, because that's when you get a lot of too many cooks, spoil the broth. Is that the phrase? Too many cooks spoil the broth? Is that what the phrase is? When you have that much money involved, a lot of people get to have their opinion taken into consideration. And I think that that's what sort of mucks things up. Content on YouTube tends to be a single vision because it's inexpensive to produce for the most part. And so you're seeing a single person's vision. I think in that single vision idea, I think people often ask why the Child's Play franchise has done as well as it has and had the legs that it's has. And I think it's because Don Mancini, who created it, is still the master at the helm. And there's nobody who's come in to try to reinvent it, with the exception of that movie that happened last summer that had nothing to do with anyone from the original franchise. I think that Don has been clever enough to change with the times. When Scream came out and horror movies got more comedic and more self-referential and sort of meta, he did that. And then that sort of ran its course, and he's gone back to straight horror with the last two installments of the series. And I think that's how the franchise and the TV series, I think, will be more straight horror too. And I think that single visions are the most interesting, because all a lot of opinion does is tend to take all the edge out of things, I think.
I agree completely. You're talking about what the Indie Brigade is all about. It's about the punk rock attitude that everybody from the Child's Play franchise to everybody who was doing this before, long before there was an internet, it was that indie sort of punk rock, fuck you attitude.
Right.
And I think that YouTube and social media has created, I think the indie is now becoming the mainstream with regard to the audiences, and therefore I think that the indie attitude is becoming more the mainstream attitude for artists. And then there's this other sort of tentpole world that's so far removed from anything indie. Joe, you look like you want to say something.
No, I'm just curious about the whole Child's Play series and what you can tell us about it, if anything.
I can't tell you anything about it. I can't even tell you whether I'm involved or not, because I haven't been invited to it yet. So far, I'm not involved. I fingers crossed I will be, but I don't have a deal, and I haven't read anything. So I hope, I really want to be involved, and I know that Alex Vincent does too, and Jennifer and Fiona, and so hopefully it'll be really great to work with. I know them all in real life. Jennifer Tilly I know from outside of that world. I know her from through other friends, and so it'd be really fun to get that family together to work together again. But and now with what's going on, who knows how long the show may even get pushed. They were going to go into production in the summer, late summer, and that may change based on what's going on with the world. I was thinking, when you're talking about punk rock attitude and the sort of the middle ground between YouTube quality stuff or energy stuff and the blockbusters, which are they just seem like just superhero movies, period. Like
right.
there's Marvel movies, and then there's everything else. And I think that cable television and streaming platforms have done a lot of marrying those things. The edgiest content out there now is cable TV, which is fantastic. There's never been such a plethora of options of really genuinely smart television.
That's right. I agree with that. And who's been killing the television is the BBC.
Yeah.
They've been doing it. They've just been doing it great because they have this theory over there that's different, because there's then you still get into that Marvel mindset with a lot of series, which is great for creators who come up with something that goes to series. But, the idea is that you got to do 5 years or 7 years or whatever. The BBC tells a story, and they, it's like a limited series. If it takes 6 episodes, then the whole show is a 6-episode show, and that's it. And then they move on and they do something else,
That's unfortunate. There's a couple of shows I really enjoyed that only did 1 season, and that really bummed me out. But I think that's kind of what happened with BH 90210. I think that they felt, because it was so meta, and that it would be difficult to keep that up for a long period of time. And and like you say, TV, American television, network television wants to at least see 3 years. They want to get 100 episodes basically so they can sell it to syndication.
Yep.
And I guess they didn't foresee that being a possibility with how sort of complicated the story was. I think that's short-sighted. I think that opened up stories. I think it opened the world up way bigger, where we could use stuff from real life and stuff that was totally fabricated in fiction. How is that limiting? It seems limitless, but
I agree. But like I'm talking about like the Dracula one that BBC did. They did, I think, 3 episodes and then just ended it.
Yeah.
It was a good approach. I personally am developing some stuff for the episodic world, and I hope it goes on for 100 seasons. Because as a creator, I love the idea of getting all that time, as opposed to when you make a movie, it's great, but you got 90 minutes,
and that's the most exciting thing about Don handling this TV show, and why I'm so eager to be involved. It's like, if he does 6 or 10 episodes, whatever they're going to do, that's 15 years worth of movie making right there. Instead of doing an hour-and-a-half movie every 5 years, he's got 10 weeks to do 10 hours of content. That's incredible how much story can be told in such an abbreviated period of time, which I think would be fantastic. And really, I don't know if you guys have seen the last Chucky movie, but the way it ended the world has completely changed. The Chucky world is left in a very different place than it's ever been left before, and it really opened up a lot of opportunity for story there. So.
Well, yeah, and I think that the Indie Brigade is going to start a movement to make sure you start getting some pages to read because, we've even got a guy here, Steve, that says you have to be in it or we riot.
Yes, all right. Endorse that attitude entirely.
The Indie Brigade is growing and our voice is growing, and we're very proud of that, and so I think that we're going to start a movement from our end of things. So anything we can do to push for that needs to happen. I agree completely. So, and it's surprising to me that you haven't gotten that phone call, but there's been series out there that I thought I would have gotten a phone call about too for various reasons, and my phone still hasn't rung to even ask me if I've watched it.
Right. You know what though? Here's the deal. Even if I say there's 6 episodes and I'm in 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't the case, but let's pretend that that's a fact. They couldn't make me an offer right now. The way the union works, they can't make me an offer until they have start dates. And now no one's got start dates. So, because we don't know, I can't go to Canada, I can't, and they all shoot them all in Canada. So I imagine they're going to shoot this in Canada too. And as long as travel is not happening and groups can't get together, you can't congregate in a group larger than 10 was the law before, they can't make me an offer until this all ends. So, I mean, I may not be in it at all, but even if I am, I'm not going to know for a long time.
Man. Well, I think we're going to come through this. I mean, I know we're going to come through it. Human beings are built to beat this kind of stuff, right? That's why we've survived as long as we have. And who knows, maybe this will be the one that takes us all down, but I doubt it.
It's not going to take us down. It's going to take a lot of individuals down, though. And I don't mean just like making them sick or people, God forbid, who are dying. I mean, I can't imagine. Restaurants are an almost impossible thing to keep open, even in the best of times. Restaurants are a sketchy way to try to make a living. And I don't think there's many restaurants in the country that can go 2 or 3 months without any income and stay in business.
No. And here in Kentucky, near Lexington, where I live, it's a big service industry town. There's restaurants and bars everywhere. It's a massive part of the city's infrastructure.
Yeah.
And it sucks because now they're going to close, and 3 months down the road, they're not going to have the revenue to reopen it. And then all the people who could come in and buy them up, they're getting screwed in the stock market, so they're not going to have the money. Right?
And no one's making money in the interim. So even if the restaurant lasts long enough to stay open, who's got money to go eat in a restaurant? It's unfortunately, I'm horrified to think that the only people that will survive this are the giants like Amazon, and that every mom and pop operation in the country will go belly up forever. And
I think go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
All those restaurants and stuff employ people as well. There's not. So this is going to be really hard to bounce back from for a lot of people in this country.
I think we have to shift. I think there has to be a shift in thinking. I think that somehow people are going to have to eventually come to the realization that they're going to have to stop thinking about when do I go back to my job. They're going to have to start thinking about how do we exist in a new landscape of society, right? How do we do restaurants? If we can't do restaurants, how do we do restaurants? If we can't, you know what I mean? It's like the convention thing. I mean, it's a simple, dumb little example, but look, this affected a lot of people's lives. And the first thing we did 2 Fridays ago was announce that we wanted to do this convention. And now here we are. And we've come up with a different way to do something that I think is actually going to transcend this whole situation we're in now, because there's so many people who can't get to conventions, who can't come out to meet folks like you, who can't come out to sell, to get stuff. Vendor in New York if they go to a convention in Arizona, and this could be a whole new thing. So I mean, it's done is make my entrepreneurial brain start thinking about different ways to approach different industry, and I think that that's going to be the key. And I think even the entertainment industry is going to have to shift somehow at some point. There's going to have to be some sort of remote solution or some sort of smaller solution. And maybe I think maybe the entertainment industry will go back to the old days when there was like crews of 5 people, you know what I mean? And everything was more run and gun, I don't know.
Well, that's what YouTube is for the most part, but I don't know. I mean, it's not just entertainment and restaurants. It's everything. Like like facial places, like clothing stores. No one's going to have any money coming out the other end of this. So retail across the board is going to take a really hard hit. I just really dread the landscape that's just Chili's and Amazon.com and and the big giant Nike, the big giant companies that can survive anything, and nothing little anymore.
Yeah, I know. That's a big deal around here too. My side business is a woodworking business, and it's already tough enough. People don't understand why a handmade piece of furniture that takes 2 weeks to make, 12 hours a day, costs more than what they can buy at Target. And now it's going to get even worse for so many industries. David Madison says new things will grow, and I agree with that too. And I'm just curious to see what those are going to be.
The silver lining to this could be that the people really, really consider the income disparity in this country and how we deal with and like raising minimum wage nationally and things that help regular people more than help the richest people in the country. It's really been that way for very, very, very long time. And maybe this will make people shift their into a more Bernie Sanders, like a more not be so afraid of the word socialism, because we already live in a country that's partially socialized in that we have roads and things, cops and firemen are paid for by the community. That's that's socialism at work there. And public schools are socialism at work. These are good things,
Well, let's talk about how these views affect your creativity. I mean, where do these views make you create from? In other words, like, how does this work into your spirit as an artist? Let's talk about that.
I don't know. And that's a deeper question than I'm prepared to answer. I don't even know. I need to think about that. But I'm just saying everybody else. I get hired to work. I get paid when I get hired, and I don't make any money until someone gives me a job. So my jobs are harder to get, I think, than some other jobs in the world. But I'm still at the mercy of people hiring. And I have no way to make ends. And the entertainment business, in television, actors in particular, it's changed a lot. When I first started in the 80s, it was a very different money world for actors. You could make a living as a guest star doing like a couple, 5 or 6 or 10 guest star spots in a year, and you could actually make a living. You weren't rich, but you were making a living. Now they hire you. If they can get all your work done on a single day on an episode of a show, they will. And they'll pay you $1,000, and you get 10 of those in a year, and no one's getting 10 guest star spots. And 10, that's a really big year, And if you got 10 at $1,000 a piece, it's $10,000. That's below the poverty line still. Yeah. And everyone thinks you're rich because you're on TV.
Yeah.
So it's hard, but my progressive or liberal views are not part of the bare bones reality of I need to pay the rent and eat.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you this question. We've got William says guerrilla filmmaking will have a resurgence. Do you see yourself going back and working sort of in the really grungy indie world? I mean, do you think
I always have. I've never stopped doing that. But there's no way to make a living doing that. They can pay you $100 a day, and then again you work 2 days and you make $200, and then you got to pay your agent, and your manager, and Uncle Sam. So yeah. I won't do that for anybody. I'll do it for my friends. I've done a lot of $100 a day jobs for my friends. There's a lot of that on my resume, and I think it's fantastic. But it doesn't make ends meet.
Very true. Very true. Well, hopefully your book is going to do that.
No, the book is 5 years old, and I haven't even made the money back that it cost me to put it out.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on.
No, I'm not kidding. It didn't even cost a lot. It probably cost somewhere like $4,000 all said and done for all the things I had to pay to have that made. And I haven't made that back. Yeah. And my YouTube channel, I think in the 3 years it's been up, I think they sent me one check for $106. So that YouTube channel is a labor of love. It's not something that's ever going to pay a bill for me. The book's never going to pay a bill for me. It hasn't even paid its own bill. It's tough. It's tough out there. It's tough out there for a pimp.
It really is. And, I think that that's an important thing for members of the brigade to hear as well, too, because, a lot of folks get into this and think, well, I'll just make my YouTube channel and then I'll monetize it, or I'll just make this movie and then Hollywood will call and then I'll get my Tesla,
Yeah, they do think that.
You know, and that's not the reality of it at all. At all. It's a rough grind.
It is. It's especially, you know, I'm a 55-year-old woman. I'm the least popular person in this town, except for the women that are older than I am. You know, being an old lady is not a lucrative category to be in Hollywood. You know.
Well, you're definitely not an old lady. You're beautiful as always, and we love you here. So, you know, I hope that you'll be a part of the brigade as much as you would like to be. It would be an honor to help you, and it would be an honor to push everything you need to push. And we want to throw the weight of the brigade behind you. We need to get you in that series, like straight the fuck up.
I know it. From your lips to God's ears. I'm with you on that one.
Well, we'll preach it. We'll preach it loud. We'll do a whole thing. We'll put it up. We'll just do a video about it. So what do you want to say about it? Give us a message and we'll do something. It's just like, you know, let everybody know where to find you. Let everybody know what's working on, and tell everybody that you need to be a part of that fucking series.
Well, I need to be a part of that fucking series. But as far as how people can find me, the one stop for me is bathingbook.com is where you can go. The links to Amazon to buy the book. You can see the short film there for free. I have an autographs page there where you can buy headshots. I sign on my books for sale there. You can buy a signed copy of my book, or you can buy it from Amazon for $10. My channel is a vegan cooking channel, but it's not a vegan channel meant for vegans. It's meant for people that still eat meat but are looking to cut back here and there for whatever reason that may be, whether they don't have any fresh meat because they can't go to the store because the store's fucking closed, or because their kid came back from college and declared themselves to be vegan and they don't know what to do, or they just want to do meatless Mondays, or I've got a friend that had a heart attack and he's a medically induced vegan. So there's a lot of reasons to give up meat that aren't just the reasons I gave it up. And so it's meant to be a channel to make meals that you're familiar, that seem familiar and taste familiar, but in a meatless way. It's not a judgy, you know, pedestal looking down at my nose at people and criticizing them for their choices, but trying to offer just some more choices. And that's videovegan.com. You can get there that away. But at bathingbook.com is a contact page. You know, my Instagram account's there, my Facebook page is there, my Twitter account is there. You can just one-stop shop and like, you know, connect with me in all the various ways. I'm pretty active on Instagram. I post a great deal, and old recipes that I recycle them and put them out, and then any new ones, I want to put a new one out in the next day or so. And so that's all there. And I have photography. I have done a lot of photography in my lifetime. If you go to mypinupart.com, you can buy my photographs in anything from stickers to greeting cards to shirts to coffee mugs, all kinds of things with images that I have shot over the years. A lot of decaying Americana, some pinup stuff, pet stuff, things like that. So a lot to pick from.
You're amazing.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being part of DEF CON 1.
Thanks for having me.
This is amazing, and I'm really just happy to meet you face to face and talk to you. So, you know, hopefully we can do a lot of stuff and get some shit going here.
Yeah, let's everybody stay home, and the better behaved we are in this period, the faster we'll come out the other side of it.
That's right. That's right.
Do that.
All
Stay
right.
safe.
Until next time, hopefully.
Yes, indeed. Anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Oop, I cut her off too soon. Sorry.
Hey, Joe.
Woo.
Man.
Dude, this is going. We got Ernie already. He jumped on.
Ernie,
As long as we can hear him.
what's up? Are you there?
You guys are doing awesome.
Well,
Thanks,
thank
man.
you.
It's going pretty well, huh?
Yeah, man.
Hey, wait, whoa. What kind of shirt do you have on right now?
What's that?
Oh shit. Oh shit. That's an LE. That's the kids call
Holy
it.
crap,
LE.
I think we're twins.
What's up, baby? Let me run that for you.
That is awesome. Well, thank you.
I had to get me one. Where's that thing? That thing on the side? I can't figure this shit out. Look at me. I love it. This is awesome.
I'm glad you like it, man. It looks good on you. It looks good on you.
Everybody out there, you gotta get the merch, the swag, baby. You gotta represent the Indie Brigade. Come
Yeah,
on.
look at this one. You see this one yet? If I die, film it.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Money's getting a little tight right now. I gotta, I can't let the wife know I'm buying these shirts.
Hey, Scott says, Ernie, you bastard.
He could suck it. As he saw my comment, he had to get off early. He had to go take a nap. You know, he had to go take a pill or something.
Oh my God! Everybody's saying.
I love that guy. I love him to death.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
How's things, man? How's things? How are you? Are you safe? You healthy? All yours good? And
Yeah, man. I'm good. Everybody I know is good. I mean, I just got word today that one of my friends got got the COVID, the corona, which sucks. But they're taking care of him. He's in the hospital at the moment, but hopefully things turn out well. But
so he's hospital bad. Well, we'll send out some.
Yeah, my buddy Joe Burke. So he's I just found that out today. But everybody else, my moms, my family, my immediates are good. I got 2 family members who are nurses who are out there on the front lines doing their things. I got my brother. He works at Columbia, so he's doing. He's one of the upper tier kind of human resource development kind of guys. So they put them in for a week and they take them out for a week, just to I guess they don't want too many people doing their thing. It sucks, man. My workload is at a standstill at the moment. I gotta have a discussion this week with my clients. I'm a carpenter, as you know, so being inside people's houses and with their families there is a little tough, and I understand it. So we're trying to work through it. But the good thing is I still got I'm still putting the Smod Castle together. So that is an empty unit, which I go there by myself, and I just keep plugging along there.
Well, I want to talk about that because that's a really cool thing you have going on. But before we get into that, it's crazy, like the industries that this whole thing is just crushing. It's nuts, and people don't realize all the damage and all the different levels of commerce and revenue that are just being affected by this.
Well, I think what people will realize. I mean, when you say, "Oh, the film industry's taking a hard hit," they're losing, millions or billions of dollars. People are like, "Oh, well, it's only a film," but you got to remember, entertainment and film or music or any kind of expression of creativity is a form of escapism or entertainment for people to not think about things like this or to get away. I mean, most people are sitting home, if they're not doing stuff with their kids or their family, they're streaming movies, they're streaming TV shows. They want to escape what the hell is going on out there. So this industry plays a very, very important role. I mean, just for escapism, or just for people to, get away from it all. Other than that, it's just a lot of, happiness and fluff for us. But it is kind of, it's important. I mean, definitely no way near as important as the people that are out there saving lives and the first responders and then, all those kind of cats. They're just amazing. I mean, all those people should get medals. I mean, they should be,
right. I mean, those are the people that just run straight into a virus without a suit. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's and we've got a friend in the healthcare industry here in Kentucky that they're waiting to find out if she's got the COVID, but she's got all the symptoms and everything. So and it happened with her transporting a patient. And there's nothing you can do about it when the hospital says we don't have any more masks for you today. But we still got these people, these folks who stick around and still work and still do what they got to do. It's unbelievable. I mean, dude, somebody sneezes near me normally when this isn't going on. I give him that sort of like, hey, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's a prime example is exactly what you created this weekend. This is something that people will enjoy and we'll watch, and it's a great thing that you put together, George. And Joe over there. Well, he don't do shit anyway, but
Thank you, man. That means the world.
I'm getting.
And I don't know if you tuned in earlier, but he hasn't fucked up anything today.
Whoa, he's been brilliant. He went to give him a raise.
He's killing it today. I don't know what got into him.
We got to get him a new hat.
Did I hear a raise?
Yes, you did.
No.
Damn it.
And we're not talking about the blue pill type of raise either, Joe. We want something, monetary.
That'll do. Those are $75 a pop.
What? They'll start selling that shit. You want?
So a buddy of mine sent me a study, like an actual link to an actual medical study that's being done to see if those blue pills can help people with coronavirus. And I shit you not, the study is called Operation Die Hard.
That's awesome. I love it.
So listen, let's talk about what you're doing with the Smod Castle.
So, I mean, obviously, things are changing all the time. I mean, we were projected to open in April, but that's not happening. Kev kind of squashed that because of everything that's going on. We're really hoping for a July 20th weekend, 7/20, to open up. That is actually the 10-year anniversary of the original Smod Castle that opened in Los Angeles. I mean, I'm just moving forward. I just keep doing what I'm doing over there. If I have the time, I'm just over there. I just got done spraying the ceilings, doing all the spackling, the sheetrock, and things like that. We're slowly putting up small little, what do they call? Small little videos on Kevin's YouTube channel, just to show the progression of what's going on at the Smod Castle. We've gotten a good response from that. We're up to about 25,000 or maybe 30,000 views right now from that video I just released. Wow. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, because we want to give people somewhere to go and really get back to normalcy, especially his fan base, when this is all over. And hopefully it is over by then. If not, we'll just have to push it again. I mean, everybody's understandable. But I got things happening. I am having the floors done in the next couple weeks. I'm going to start going into the storage units, getting the memorabilia out from all the movies of Kevin, artwork, stuff like that. Start putting that up. I'm just going to get it ready. And once it's ready, if it sits for a month, 2 months, it sits. But that'll give us some time to schedule actually what's going to be going on. And I think I briefly touched on it last time I was on. You know, we're going to be doing live podcasts with an audience. We're going to do live stage readings of Kev's unpublished scripts or TV pilots or comics, anything that he's written that nobody has heard of or has want to have heard, like Ranger Danger or Superman Lives, things like that. People are, I mean, I'd love to hear Superman Lives.
Yeah, I think we all would.
I think that would be awesome. I mean, I shoot for the stars, and I am definitely, and I am going to ask Kev if we could reach out to Nick Cage just to even try to, you know, make that happen, have him come down and read that. I mean, that would be phenomenal.
Well, listen, I want to pause you there because I need you to tell anybody who doesn't know what the Smod Castle is. I need you to just break it down. What is it that would, because this is already sounding, we're seeing, you know, people are going to start asking like, what is this? What are you talking about?
Well, and then when you do complete that, I have a fan waiting to ask a question.
Great.
So ultimately, Smod Castle started out as a podcast studio in Los Angeles with a live audience. So Kev would have multiple podcasts there through his Smodco network. And they would be on a weekly basis, and he would put all that content out on his channels. Now we're trying to 2.0 it. We can't just do podcasts because it's just not enough. We want to do the really cool things. Like we did a live stage reading of Clerks 3 as a charity event. We raised a lot of money, and the fans responded really well to it, and we sold out instantly. Two viewings. So those are the kind of things that we also want to introduce. But we also want to make it a fan-friendly type of atmosphere. We want to have filmmakers come in there and be able to show their films. And Kev doesn't have to be involved, but it's a platform for the filmmaker to come in and have their screening, because you can't always afford a movie theater.
That's right.
And where can you show your films to your family and your friends, you know, for a small amount of money in a nice, intimate venue? And that's going to be the Smod Castle. So we're going to offer that. We're going to have the equipment. We're going to have the TV. And you're just going to have to rent that space for that moment and do your thing. And we're also looking to do a Kevin Smith Film Festival. Because he's really, as everybody knows, the fans know, he's really about empowering the people, and his fans especially, to to just go out and create something, just to make something. And we want to be that place to bring that creativity to. I mean, obviously Kevin's Q&As, his podcast, his live stage readings are probably going to, be the big draw. But we definitely want to have the independent community's creativity come there. And it's going to be through comedy shows. It's going to be through art galleries. We're going to do weddings. So we're really, jumping it up to a higher level than what it was in Los Angeles. And I think it's going to be something really great. There's a lot of buzz happening with it right now. So
it sounds like it's really community driven.
Yeah. I mean, he's got his social media following is in the millions.
Yeah, I know.
His fans are very dedicated to him and everything that he does. And we know that can carry us along for a while, but we also want to reach out to other people in the community and the independent film community to say, here is a place where you guys can come and do your shit. You want to have an audition? We have a place to do it. You want to have a script reading or a meeting or something? It's an open space where you can do that. So wherever we can help out, we're going to try. I mean, obviously, we're going to have to break a few eggs here and there and have a couple glitches along the way like we all do when we get started.
Yeah.
We may have to hire Joe to bring him on and make sure everything goes good.
I'm there, totally there.
But yeah, we're hoping for the best, and I think it's going to be something really special. And I'm very excited to be actually partnering up with, a friend of mine who I've been friends with for over 40-something years in our, later years, to be able to still be together and to finally do something pretty special.
It is pretty cool, man. And, I love that idea because, it's sort of like a brick and mortar version of the spirit and energy we're trying to bring to some of these indie folks. I mean, the idea that you guys are going to give indie filmmakers and people a place to go and do physical things like meetings and auditions and screenings, that's something that is so desperately needed. It's not even funny. So I think it's just cool as shit. But I think Joe's got that look on his face and he's starting to turn red. So I think it's because he said there's somebody we got to bring up.
Oh, they already left.
Oh,
he had to go to the phone.
All right, so they're gone.
No, they may be coming back.
Okay.
Yeah, they went to go get a drink, a snack.
Yeah. Hey, this is a marathon day. This is like we're doing 8 hours of this today.
Yeah, man, you just got to go with it. That's all.
Yeah.
Look at him; he's tired already. Somebody get him a Red Bull.
Okay, so this guy has been a fan of yours apparently for like 30 years, and he'd like to ask you a question.
Snack.
Yeah. Hey, this is a marathon day. This is like we're doing 8 hours of this today.
Yeah, man, you just got to go with it. That's all. Yeah. Look at him; he's tired already. Who's that? Dragon? Somebody get him a Red Bull.
Okay, so this guy apparently he wanted to pop on for a second and say hi. Scott, you there?
Yeah. This is a marathon day. This is like we're doing 8 hours of this today.
Yeah, man, you just got to go.
I feel like we're in a loop.
Somebody get him a Red Bull.
Okay, so this guy apparently Scott, you want to pop on for a second and say hi.
Scott, are you there?
Hey!
Are you listening to? Do you have a Facebook open? Oh wait, maybe it went away now. You there now?
Yes, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. We were hearing ourselves from like a minute ago through your big speakers.
Oh, sorry, man.
That's
Ernie,
right.
I love you. I just wanted to say hello and thanks for everything. You're the best.
Hey, get back in your coffin, would you?
Well, if I brought him up, I got to bring him up for 1 second. But
there he is.
1 minute.
You know what? I'm going to turn everything over to these guys for a minute because I have another guest calling me.
What's that,
Mr. O'Donnell?
What is that hat you're wearing? Oh,
Are we supposed to be able to see that?
There you go. Yep.
You are an embarrassment.
Ernie, the one thing that really breaks my heart about this whole coronavirus thing that's going on is that Major League Baseball is canceled, and you no longer send me those big fat checks for all the bets you lose to me. So sadly, You were literally supplementing my income, making sure my daughter went to college, and we're all very thankful for that, Ernie.
But you see, this year, in the past season, I was very kind to you, and I didn't bet you because I knew the Yankees were going to do better. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to take Dave's money. I'm not going to do it.
Like that ever happened.
I was close, and you were worried.
You know, I thought you were going to call me back and ask for a refund after the whole Astros cheating scandal.
Well, that's something that's disgusting, but you know.
As you know, I was the mastermind behind the whole thing.
You probably were. Just to get my money.
There you go. I hope you're well, Ernie. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. But just so you know, I won that money at a poker game that O'Halloran was at. That's, you know, so it really doesn't.
So it was literally like it was your money for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, no skin off my back. I won it from somebody else, and I just gave it to you.
The fact that O'Halloran actually got to me was pretty astonishing.
You see that?
Yeah.
See the trust that I have in him after all these years? It's amazing.
Well, God knows somebody should.
Yeah, he's a good man.
No, he is. He is.
Scott, do you get involved in this nonsense with the sports?
What?
No, not at all. I'm kind of like sports challenged. I have a question for Ernie though.
Scott's a little more than sports challenge. Let's admit it. Yeah, no, I can't play shit.
Listen, talk a little bit about your short because I know you put a lot of your heart, soul, and time into that, and you did some great stuff with your screenings. Anything happening with that moving forward? I mean, I know everything's dead now in a lot of ways, but I just wanted to bring it up because I know you're a very humble cat and you weren't going to bring it up on your own. But people need to know that you did one hell of a job with that piece, and it's something they need to know is out there.
Well, I appreciate that, my friend. Yeah, I guess I don't like to boast about most stuff, but it was my first attempt at writing, directing, producing, pretty much doing everything. And I figured I'd, start with a short. And I picked a subject that was kind of controversial.
Kinda?
Just a little bit,
I'm surprised you're still alive and the church hasn't put a hit out on you.
Well, yeah. Well, I honestly think, and I hate to say this, but I honestly think, I think the movie's good. I don't think it's spectacular. I don't think it's great. I think it's good for my first time out. I would have really liked it to. I mean, it's been in some festivals. It's won a couple things like that, but I really wish it would have got out there more in the festival circuit. But I think most of them are a little kind of cautious because of the subject matter. I hate to say that. Where I thought the film industry were more, about getting filmmaker stuff out there, being on the edge, really bucking the system a little bit. And I thought it would be a little bit more well received with some of the festivals that I sent it to, but that's okay. I mean, I'm very happy where it is now, and I talked to a few friends. I mean, David was one of them, where I'm going to probably put it out on some sort of platform in the next month or so. I've been accepted to a couple other festivals, but all that stuff has been postponed. So that kind of puts us in a strange position.
Right.
I want to get it out there, and I was planning on getting it out there in the next couple of months. But now these festivals that I was supposed to be in are now getting postponed till like September.
Right.
It kind of puts me in a quandary of what should I do? Should I just put it out there and still show it at the festival? Will it be disqualified because of the festival? I'm not really sure. I got to find out. I don't know if Dave knows a little bit more about that.
Well, sadly, once you put anything out for the public to see, festivals usually disqualify it. But all kidding aside, Ernie, we like to goof around on each other, and don't sell yourself short. That was a very, very well done, exceptionally well written and directed short, and your talent as a potential filmmaker, definitely you could see it, and it's a really great piece of work. I hope a lot of people will give it a chance because it's smart, it's contemporary, the pacing is perfect for a short. It's beautiful. You know, everything about it was really well done. So great job, Ernie.
I appreciate that, Dave. That means a lot. You know,
And you got a really rocking cast. There's some really wonderful actors in that cast.
yeah, and I tell you what, for people out there, I mean, if you can surround yourself with amazing cast and crew, you can save so much time and money. Now, I brought some guys in that I never had to read for the part at all. There was no rehearsals, no meetings, no nothing. I just knew the talent that these guys possessed, and I let them do their thing. And I directed them very softly and a little, you know, just a little bit, just to get it to where I wanted it to be. But it's a really, really big deal if you can get actors that can kind of come to the table when you need them to, and to the, you know, it's just, I mean, I think you guys know Bob. I mean, Bob was amazing. I think his name's, am I saying it right? Sankowitz? Is that
Bob
correct?
Sankowitz, yes.
Sankowitz.
I seen him and Brian do a stage rendition of A Few Good Men.
Right.
Bob Sankowitz is a fantastic actor.
Yep. I mean, he brought it, and Christian Keiber, a great actor out of New York City, who's done tons of stuff. He was awesome, and Jeff Haverstock is a young kid who I've known for 20 years that's been trying to get into the business, and I gave him a shot, and he killed it. And my buddy Mello from Comic Book Man is, you know, played a bartender, and I wrote the script. I wrote that part just for him, and he crushed it. And the thing that he did at the end, when people see the short, there's a little feature at the end of a spoken word that I throw in there. And he wrote that in one night, guys. I mean,
Wow.
He just killed it. So I was very happy. And, like, you know, I know Scott says I'm humble, and I try to be. But this is just the beginning. You know, I want to move on to something bigger and better. I got some pretty big projects that I'm working on. But for now, you know, we take it slow and see what comes our way. And hopefully everybody stays healthy and the film industry comes back strong, and they're looking for independent filmmakers to get content out there. It's something we're going to need in the next few months or 6 months or next year or whatever. So I hope that everybody goes out there and makes something.
It's the seventh day, correct?
Seventh day, yes.
Right. Maybe you could make you screen it at the Smart Castle.
Yeah, Kev's already given me that option. If I want to do something there, he's all about it. Which we probably will do something. But, you know, of course, anybody who wants to come and bring their stuff there, we're looking to help out. I mean, listen, I'm not going to lie. The place is a place of business, so we're there. You know, we're there to make money. So obviously, you know, or else we can't stay open. But
sure,
it won't be crazy stuff. It'll be, everything's going to be pretty reasonable, and hopefully we can cater to everybody that wants to get involved. And we're really excited about it. But you know, thanks for bringing that up, Scott. I appreciate that.
No, you got it. I wanted to pipe in, and because I know you wouldn't have brought it up, and I know that was a big project for you from last year, but it's still you know, new and hasn't been seen by nearly enough people yet. But I want to share the time too, so I'm going to bail out.
Scott, thanks for popping back in.
Peace, Scott.
Oh,
he loved it.
You know, Ernie, you said something toward the end there about hopefully they'll be looking for more independent filmmakers. You know, that's the part of what the Indie Brigade's about. We're trying to create a resource pool, not just for you know, ourselves in the Indie Brigade, but for the industry at large. You know, I mean, and I think there's so much passion in the group here that hopefully, you know, the industry will basically have to realize that they're going to have to turn to the indie world again. It's there, you know, they're not going to be able to just throw money at big projects moving forward, because you know, it's going to be a new landscape, and they're going to have to look for somewhere new again, and it's hopefully going to be the indie world.
You're right, and I think Dave will understand what I'm going to say here. I am very excited about what I just said about, you know, there being more content and indie filmmakers getting stuff out there. But what I do worry about and what I think about is, I hope that these distribution companies, where most of them are just horrible, don't start taking advantage of all these independent filmmakers who really don't know how to navigate their way through this distribution field, which is horrible. And because I had not the greatest experience with my horror feature, 100 Acres of Hell, which is streaming now. So I just hope that they don't see this as an opportunity, meaning the distribution companies, to kind of, take advantage of all these guys and girls and that are going to get out there and put films out there for us in the coming years, because it's a sad state of affairs when things like that happen. And I think Dave knows, what I'm kind of getting at.
Yeah, absolutely, Ernie. I mean, sadly, independent filmmakers, if they want to get their films on any kind of multiple platforms or to be seen by any large group of people, usually have to sell their soul to distribution company. George, you know this better than anybody. And but luckily, Ernie, there are a lot of things changing, and there are a lot of platforms that are accessible to us now that we don't have to go through those channels as much anymore. So, cross our fingers and hope that things get better.
No, that's very true. But the thing with I think from what I've looked into and stuff with a lot of those platforms, I mean, even though, listen, the independent filmmaker usually doesn't do this for the money, at least in the beginning. It's more of a passion project and stuff like that. But there's also the side of it where there are guys out there that are putting out great content, but get discouraged because they're not making their money back. So they don't get that money to go and make the next project.
Right.
So these platforms, wherever it is, the streaming platforms, the actual distributors, I think there has to be a shift where the actual filmmaker is benefiting a little bit more from, the product that they're putting out there. And I know George is, I've talked to George privately about, him getting into distribution, and I know he is, and I really look forward to see what George is going to do with that platform that he's going for distribution.
Thank you, Ernie. We are moving towards something pretty great. We have not officially launched anything big yet because as we move through this, anybody who knows me knows that I'll walk away. I ain't scared. If something morally offends me or something makes me think that there's going to be some douchebaggery or fuckstickery down the road, I'll walk away. And so while we're trying to figure all of this out, true colors come out a lot of times, as people know, when you're negotiating. And,
right.
So we're at a point now where we're pretty close to a model here. I've added in trying to help filmmakers figure out how to monetize their shorts a little bit better. But in the meantime, while we're getting this off the ground, one of the things that we do here at the Indie Brigade is we offer as much help as we can to navigate those waters, because we've all been through it. And we hate to see any filmmaker get burned. There's always going to be sharks. There's always going to be people coming up after this thing saying, hey, how can we get over on these indies? And if we can do anything else, if we can't do anything else, then we will we'll do our best to try to help. And that Joe tapping his fake watch is
I want to give Ernie the floor to plug whatever he has going on right now. So, I mean, we do have our next guest already in the lobby.
At least wear a watch if you're going to tap one.
That's right. The virtual watch. I love it. There it is.
Ernie, tell everybody where they can find you, what you're doing, and all that good stuff.
So as we spoke before, I'm in the process of getting the Smod Castle ready for Leonardo, New Jersey. We're hoping to have that open, pandemic pending, 7/20, July 20th. And as of right now, I got 100 Acres of Hell on all streaming platforms and also available on DVD for your viewing pleasure. That's a great throwback horror feature. I also got my film Gone for the Weekend, which is on Amazon, which you can check out. And hopefully we're looking to see Shooting Clerks get out there by the end of the year. And that's something I'd like to I'm going to talk to George privately about. I have some ideas I'd like to run his way. But yeah, that's another great film that should get out there, Shooting Clerks.
Well, Ernie, let's talk Tuesday.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being part of the first official online convention, DEF CON 1 here at Romero Pictures Indie Brigade, and with our new partner, Heavy Metal.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is
on the whole weekend, guys. I mean, it's just amazing, and I give you a lot of props for doing this.
Thank you, man.
You know you're always welcome anytime you want.
Be well, Ernie.
You too,
All
Dave.
right. Have a great day. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
All right, Dave. I got to kick you off just because of the hat.
Oh, that was cold. I think the hat was a dig at you.
No, it was actually a dig at Ernie. Wow, I haven't even had a drink. See, it's already.
That's why you're doing so well today.
You think?
Hey, Sober Joe.
Oh, let me take that batter down. Hold on a second, please. All right, now we have your next guest coming up. I will let you do the introductions, sir.
Alastair Duncan, how are you today, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
How's life? Are you staying safe? Are you staying healthy? Where are you?
I'm staying safe. I'm staying healthy. I moved house just because it was something fun to do whilst, in the midst of coronavirus. Insane. I did that 2 days ago. I'm in mayhem. It's madness. It's like madness outside. It's madness in my house. Yeah, it's all good.
What part of the world are you in? Are you in LA or are you?
I'm in LA, North Hollywood.
It's nuts. It's nuts there, huh?
Yeah.
What's
it's
going on?
Where are you?
Kentucky.
All right. So you're okay. Yeah. Here it's nuts, but it's like it's empty. Like nothing's happening. And this is LA.
Yeah.
It's just surreal. It blows my mind, like driving and in rush hour and there's nobody there. And you're like, this is so weird, like post Armageddon. It's crazy. So, but it's the same everywhere, I think.
Yeah, it is. I've seen some great videos of people skateboarding through empty Los Angeles and things like. I lived there for 15 years, and I was there for Carmageddon, and it was different. It was all the interstates were closed. There was no traffic on the interstates, but everybody was walking everywhere.
Yeah,
so it was
nobody. Nobody's walking. Like I went to the store this morning early and to Trader Joe's. And there's this woman behind me, and every time anybody approached, she shouted, 6 feet! Back 6 feet! What that? Look, come really? Come on, please. Show some humanity.
Well, listen, this means the world to me that you're here joining us.
Thank you.
This is the first time anybody's ever tried to do this. And a guest that was on earlier, Christine Elise, said that she put it well. It was born, the necessity is the mother of invention. And, we're in a time now where all these conventions have been canceled.
Yep.
There's so many people losing revenue off of this circuit, and we're trying to do what we can. We're trying to make a difference. We're trying to help the indie artist community. We're trying to help the convention goers, the convention vendors, and trying to give them a way to maybe earn some lost revenue with this. So your support and your willingness to be part of it it means a lot.
I absolutely support what you're doing. I think that it's amazing that you came up with this idea, and I hope it's a huge success. I think that anything that's going to give people the opportunity to get their voices out there, and particularly what I was just listening to with you guys, with everybody talking about indie films and how doing that, which I'm very superficially involved with, it's fantastic. And this media is a great method of actually getting it out there. So all power to you.
Thank you very much. Why don't we start? You said you are what did you mean when you say you're superficially connected to doing indie films?
Just because I have one of my best friends is a writer, producer, director, has been fighting to get projects off the ground for years, has got things in the works, has got things in different studios, different things going on. I've acted in his productions as often as he has anything that he's making, I am in it. And it's mind-boggling to me how impossible the whole situation is to actually get an independent movie. He finally said, because we started a steampunk web series. We did the pilot, and then that got stuck in production. And then he realized that actually it's almost as much work to produce a short as it is to produce an independent low budget full length movie.
Yeah.
Which is what he's now working on. And he's done a lot, and he's a brilliant writer. He's, you know, won awards and all that sort of thing. And it's just so hard to get something made.
It is. It's a lot harder than it used to be. I was raised around this industry and have been doing this on my own since the late 90s. And, you know, there were projects I had in the past where I would go and have a drink with an investor and say, hey, I'm trying to do this. And he'd say, okay, great. I'll open an account and put the money in it Monday.
Holy
you know, and you would go and you would make your project. And it was like that. And now it's, that whole landscape has changed over the years, and now it's harder to raise a small amount of money than it is to raise a large amount of money, it seems.
That makes no
You
sense.
know, and it's crazy. And you come from a world that spends massive amounts of money, because for anybody who doesn't know where they can find you, or has one of those, why do I, that voice or that face, what a lot of you don't know is that Alastair has been, if you're a gamer like me, has been in probably some of the biggest video games that have, in fact, definitely the biggest video games that have ever been made or released. And, you know, what I'm really excited and curious to talk to you about, you know, on behalf of the fans, you know, some of my favorite games are Call of Duty and God of War. I mean, you know, what is that experience even like? Because we're all like indie filmmakers. We run around run and gun style, and if it's got a lens on it, we'll use it to try to make a movie about a cat and its fascination with, you know, dandelions.
Okay, I'm in. Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? But like, what's that like to be part of something so big like that? I mean, do they bring you in and you get everything done quick, boom, and you're out?
No,
Or-
I mean, it takes years to actually do my part. Like, let's say a year to 2 years to for my part in the game, from starting it, from doing the first scenes to finishing the last, you know, just before the game is released, the last studio session, recording session, because they've, you know, there's something they need. And when it starts, like, it starts with motion capture, you know, like with, which is, when I started in motion capture, it was fairly rudimentary. And it was like, it's magic. I mean, it's still magic. You go onto a stage and suddenly you see yourself, you're walking around on this bare stage, and then everything up on the screens all around you, you see your character acting in full costume and everything else. That is awesome. Still, I sort of end up just watching myself up there from down here and see it, you know, like moving myself around going, look, that's me up there. Looking completely different. And you see the amount of money that's involved when you realize the computing power that's involved in these games. What they have to be able to transpose this into that, like fully costume, the face, the hair, everything going on is unbelievable.
And that's in real time when you're performing.
That's in real time. You're actually seeing it happening. So I mean, it's not fully realized. The backgrounds aren't there. All the artwork isn't there. But my character in that environment is there. And then you go into the studio and you see the artists, the digital artists, working on this. A warehouse full of people working on the CGI. It's amazing to get the simplest thing, how long it takes and what it takes to make it work. And then they go and correct it, and then they go and correct it. Then they throw it out because they realize the idea doesn't work. So there is a lot of money being utilized in there. You know, basically a couple of days of that, you could make maybe 2-3 movies. Yeah,
absolutely. You could, absolutely you could. And, hell, I could make 5 with some of the low budgets I've had in my life. But
I'll bet, yeah.
You know, what I'm curious about with regard to that. What's that like as an actor to have to, you know, dip in and out of a character for years? You know, especially not being consistent.
It's really interesting because what happens is you come back to it. You know, you find it, and then you come back to it, and then it's like, oh my god, is this what I was doing last time, or was I different? Was my voice different? Was it actually what you gotta go back and find it again, and it's like the worst thing ever is doing a single scene in a movie or any show, because you walk in and you get to do the scene and then you're warmed up and you're ready to go.
Right.
And then you leave.
Right.
You're like, oh, no, I know what I should have done. Damn it. So in this case, you go in and you do these disconnected scenes on the motion capture stage, and you're like, and after like the second or third one, you're like, I've got it now. I've got it. And you've shot those, and then you get it for the rest of the day, and then you go away, and then you come back 2 months later, and you're like, where was I? What was I doing? And why? And what happens next? And by the way, remember, these video game scripts are the size of 10 War and Pieces. They're like, so like for them to actually for you to work out where you are at any point in the story can be interesting. It's like, what happened to me? I did. Okay. So it's a different skill set to working on a movie or TV show. It is, but it's so much fun because you really do get to play. You're literally actually different for God of War, because God of War is a single shot.
Yeah,
it's all one shot. Awesome. Yeah. So that means you have very little room to maneuver.
Right.
You come in, they've got the camera worked out so they can follow the whole scene and do whatever they have to do. So you can't suddenly go, hey, what if I was to go over here?
Right.
They go, you can't go over there because we can't see you, you idiot. We've told you that 10 times. Now get back and do what I told you. So in this case, you actually have to work out how to make your character work with what the blocking that they give you.
Right.
So you're like, okay, I've got to go from here to there. Okay, I got something. I know what I'll do. Right.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a question for you. What do you prefer? Video game acting or film acting or TV acting?
It's so voiceover acting is the freest you can be, because you literally get to just create it, throw it away, create something else, play with it. It's like it's a blank canvas. They want like as many takes, do it as many different ways as you like. That's fun. It's just fun, and also getting to go into a booth and just play with other actors who you'd never expect to work with normally, and you're all wearing your sweats or your pajamas, and everybody's really easy. In a video game, motion capture is you've really got to use your imagination, because you're on this blank stage with people wearing basically wetsuits. It looks like with a balls stuck all over them, and they're wandering around and being very serious. Oh, with a big camera, by the way, out in front. So you've got a camera with a light shining straight in your eyes. So it's like, yeah, no, I can take this seriously. So as soon as you've got a scene like that, I've done several scenes where somebody dies dying in my arms, and you go like this, and you just and slam the camera straight to the head. It's like, yeah, that doesn't work. Yeah, so you have to find a way to maneuver your head to get it round. That makes it, as I say, you've got to be imaginative. You've got to really think about what you're doing. But it's so fun. It's so silly. It's like, okay, right, you're jumping off a building. You're being thrown. I remember, what was it? I was the last Call of Duty. I had an explosive waistcoat on that they'd set to go off. And I'm screaming and shouting, get this off, get this off, and get this off, and get this off me. And then somebody grabs me and throws me over the side of a building, and I scream all the way down, which all happens on the floor of a warehouse. It's like, okay, right. Okay. Imagine this is what's going on. You're falling splat. Right. Okay, I got it.
So when you go onto the set of one of your buddy's films, or you go on some of the TV shows you've done, isn't there? Do you feel more free as an actor, or do you prefer the freedom of like you can say, hey, what if I go over here? Right?
Yeah, you can, absolutely. But here's the thing: depending on the budget and the time frame, how long you've got to shoot it. Is it guerrilla style? Are you running in, shooting it, and running out? Is it a TV show where they're like, here are the lines, say the lines, get up, get out? Or is it somebody's going, okay, how can we make this work? What can we do? What have you got? Like, could you do something different that would help us to get from here to there? So it's different for everyone. I would say that working with people that I love working with, my friends, whoever, that's my favorite thing. Because then I know we've got a shorthand, we can communicate. I know what they want, and I know they'll let me go. I know they'll let me actually try things, and they'll tell me if they don't work, and then we'll, but it'll be, at least I'll have the chance. I would say that's my favorite of all of them.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you must work with a lot of the same people all the time.
I like that. Because it's funny, you don't, if you haven't figured out when I do this show, I don't have anything. I don't have any prepared responses. I literally just like to listen to what you say and then think about it and respond. And, I think you're right. I think that has a huge part to do with the energy that we try to bring to the Indie Brigade, that it's about that positivity, and it's about finding that positivity, and it's about finding people who are like-minded because they're fun to work with. Everything else is just a job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you've had some experiences that, they're so unbelievably cool for pretty much anybody who's an indie fan, an indie filmmaker. We all play video games because we've got to do something to get through the dark times.
Yeah.
But I don't know if people know that you did Westworld. We've been rewatching Westworld in our spare time, and I actually just saw that episode the other day. Even just acting on a series that size, that scale, that budget. Where's that in structure compared to indie film versus?
Oh my God! So
right?
The first thing is, I walk on set and I'm standing there, and then and they're shooting the scene, and we're in Glendale, and they've created this amazing. They've made this house into an amazing cottage, in England, and I'm watching them film, and I go, why do the cameras have fake film mags on them? To the second AD, and he goes, because they're film cameras, and I went. My mind was in that moment blown, because they're making the most CGI heavy TV series in, apart from probably Game of Thrones. I don't know, but it is, and they're doing it on film.
Yeah,
and that was wild. But they did the same thing. It was just take after take after take after take, as though it wasn't film they were using. It was digital. It was just so the budget was huge, and the space they gave the actors in that was amazing. Like, it was
really?
just we rehearsed it, we shot it. Do you want to try this? Do you want to try that? Hit him harder against the door.
Oh, we're losing you. Hold on, we lost audio.
We lost your audio. Oh,
we're just gonna blame Joe.
Thanks. Can't hear you.
Audio.
We can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Oh,
I did that to see if it would bring his audio back.
No. I think the audio sounds like it got crossed almost. We're picking up the audio from what sounds like a phone call.
Weird. I don't know if he has any other windows open. Do you have any other windows open on your computer? You may be frozen now too. You want to try backing all the way out and coming back in? Maybe an internet thing? What? Let me see if I did that.
What a cool guy, man.
Are you there? Okay, now
his mic is just muted.
That's on his side. That his mic is muted, not on our side. Because I'm hitting unmute mic and it's saying, yeah, you can't unmute your guest mic until it's connected. Oh, his mic's not connected.
Oh.
So it seems somehow your microphone disconnected.
Okay, how's that?
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so I am a Luddite, a troglodyte. I have no, my technological skill is limited.
First of all, around here, it's not your fault. We blame Joe.
Joe, good Joe. Well done.
Yeah, we have coffee mugs, T-shirts, everything. Blame Joe actually has a message that's potentially going to grow bigger than the Indie Brigade. We're trying to make it a worldwide thing. If something goes wrong in your day, Alastair, anytime on set, anything, just blame Joe.
Okay, that's it then. You're it.
He's got big shoulders, so
he does.
I'll let you two.
Look how red he's turning. I love making him turn red.
Thank you.
Man, I got to tell you, this is really, really exciting for me to be talking to you. I'm thrilled that you're here.
I'm glad.
I'm thrilled to meet you face to face and just talk to you and ask you kind of fanboy questions. I think because I'm such a gamer, and I have been for so long. It's just really, it's a kick, but professionally, it's an honor, and I think you're really cool, man. I think our fans and our viewers are thrilled you're here.
Well, thank you. I don't think anybody's ever described me as cool, but hey, I'll take it.
Hey, no, this is the Indie Brigade. You are cool.
Yeah,
I promise that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, listen. What are you working on coming up?
You know what? I'm working on what I'm not allowed to tell you. I'm not allowed to tell you. I know. Oh, somebody's just starting a motorbike right outside my door. I am not allowed to tell you what I'm working on, because otherwise they will come after me and take away my talent. It's insane. You have to sign an NDA to say you can't admit that you've got an NDA. It's crazy. I'm not allowed to disclose my name. But anyway, everything that I'm working on right now, we literally just started one game, which is huge, and which I'm enjoying. And now everything's shut down. It's like everything's like we were filming, and then they went, okay, everybody go home. Okay, wow. Right, we're done. And this is, and I have friends like I don't know if you know Troy Baker, who's he's huge. He's the Last of Us, all that, and he's got a big game coming out. And how do they release a game at this moment with everything that's going on? I don't know. These are interesting times for so many reasons. The other thing I was thinking is I just realized that I think all the major characters I played, nearly all the main characters I played have all been dead in these things. It's like and the world's sort of catching up on that, dead and brought back to life. I feel the world is going like, okay, this is where we're getting the world of zombies, the world of whatever. We're so close.
Yeah, we really are. It's kind of like there's a couple of movies made by some folks who they kind of seem like blueprints for what's going on right now.
They do.
I don't know what my dad might have known back then, but
yeah, no, he was prescient. Like from H.G. Wells on, it's like every single. Anybody who's come up with a future world, they've got it right some places. They always have to, because we mess it up. However, whatever we do, we mess it up.
Boy, ain't that the truth.
Yeah.
Alastair, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
I appreciate you so much.
Good luck.
Thank you. Have a great rest.
Thanks for inviting me. Stay guys.
Man, how
very interesting, man.
How cool is that?
The video game stuff.
Yeah, man. There's a little taste of something that we're not lucky enough to really get access to in the indie world, right? How cool is that? Like,
that is pretty damn cool.
Anybody who's a gamer knows Alastair. Absolutely. That was like a super, super juicy treat for the Indie Brigade. That was awesome.
So for all you guys thinking about getting into video games and stuff, you have to wear your balls on your sleeve and a camera on your head. Or is that not right?
That's what you took away from that?
Damn it. You couldn't just give me that one? Jeez, man.
No, you got to work for him. You got to work for him.
Swing about a miss.
Oh, man. Easy road. Jesus, Joe. Come on.
Well, we've been at it since 2:30.
What time is it?
5.
No kidding.
No kidding.
Wow, that means we've got one more guest before our half-hour break.
Yes. I wish I came in earlier, but Chuck is in the house.
Chuck, what up? That was fucking killer. Wish I came in earlier, but I'm just getting out of bed. Hangover City here.
Okay. Jealous here.
Love you, Chuck. For anybody who doesn't know Chuck Daniels, Chuck Nasty from the Nasty Nation, available here on the Indie Brigade Network. He is also one half of the band Bastard Sons of a Judas Goat, which is a crazy, awesome fucking band. So you need to check them out. And if anybody can hear my dogs just freaking out in the background, I don't know what the hell's happening. So I think somebody walked down the next street over with a dog or something.
Well, now that we're bringing up noises, did you hear the phone ringing earlier, or was it just me?
What phone ringing?
Okay, you didn't hear a phone ringing. It might have just been me.
Was that in your head?
Possibly. Sobriety's a bitch.
No, of course there was a phone ringing. I think somebody was calling Ernie.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it was Ernie or Scott or what was going on, but
doesn't matter. It's in the past, baby.
I understand that. I just wanted to curious if it was on something I can only hear. Anyway, so our next guest is here. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. Without further ado,
Santiago, what's up, buddy? Oh, audio.
Your audio is very low.
Can you turn up? Nope.
Nope, that turned it off. Can't hear you. Maybe take the earbuds out. Bet you he's on. Are you on an iPhone?
Hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Hello?
Dun, dun, dun. I'm back.
There he is. There he is. What's up, man?
Living life, sir. Living life here in the apocalypse here of 2020. I am down about 2 boxes left of the Penn's Charmin soaks, and I just don't understand if I should, clean them or, hang them out to dry. Or, last time I did that, a bird came and built a nest on it, and there goes my one of my pair of, undergarments. I just don't know. I'm trying to survive here. How about y'all?
Well, man, first of all, I'm sorry for your struggle, man. That's some rough shit, No,
I mean, let me tell you, it's hard to cut down on protein. You got to do like 4 sheets and maybe 2 flushes, and everything else you're just gonna have to deal with later.
You're safe. You're healthy. All you and yours. You're all good. You're healthy.
Man, so far I am, man. It's been a struggle. For most people didn't know, I've been on the shelf since January. I had the flu, which I think it was the coronavirus, to tell you the truth, the way the symptoms went. But I had the flu, turned to double pneumonia, was hospitalized, very bad, man. And then once I got out of the hospital, man, 2 weeks later, I had to go into surgery for my kidneys and get kidney stones that were stuck on the upper top of my kidneys. And I've been in the jailhouse, as you could say, since then. So, so I'm going in about 70-something days.
Damn. Well, this stuff that's going on right now is crazy, and it's
yeah, dude. I'm on the farm, so you'll hear my dogs barking here.
Oh yeah, well, you heard mine too. My dogs are like our neighbors. So listen, it means the world to me that you're here joining us, though.
Yeah, man. I'm doing good. It's just great. I'm enjoying the weather, man. It's like 80 degrees in Nashville. I have a farm out here, man, about 80 acres of land away from civilization, and just keeping myself sane instead of insane,
I know it. I love Nashville, man. I'm right up near Lexington, so I ain't that far from you.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I've been in Lexington plenty of times.
Yeah, next
I did
time you're
paranormal
here,
stuff, Comic-Cons. I filmed a Hallmark movie near there, too.
Yeah, well, next time you're in town, hit me up. Next time I'm down there, I'll hit you up, man. That'd be good. I love it down there.
Hey, come on down, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I've got about 3 weeks. If everything goes good, 3 weeks, I'm going to open my in-ground pool, and it's all good now.
Nice.
It'll be all good.
Nice. So listen, let's talk about you for a little bit. For anybody who doesn't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself to the Indie Brigade? Tell them who you are, what you do, and where they can find you.
Well, I am Santiago Cirilo. I'm an actor, writer, author, entrepreneur, based out of Nashville, Tennessee. And I've been on a lot of hit TV shows and movies, mostly horror movies now. and indie movies and shows. But most people know me as Julio on season 4 of The Walking Dead. I got a hit movie on Hulu, Beast of the Water, with WWE superstars and a few people from Sci-Fi Channel, and all that good stuff, man. Even Power Rangers. So hey, can't go wrong with the Power Rangers.
Man, well, listen. So let's talk about your writing and producing, man. You've been in some big stuff. You're an entrepreneur, like a lot of us indie filmmakers and indie artists. Because God knows this shit don't pay the bills. But but you write, you produce as well. Talk about that. Let's talk about what is it about you, man? What is it about? Like, what do you think it is? Let's draw a correlation between entrepreneurialism and producing and writing. Like, let's talk about that. How do you think that you kind of became all of these things? Do you think it's a natural progression for one into the other, or do you think that they complement each other, or do you find that your entrepreneurial shit gets in the way of your artist shit?
You know what? I think it's just because I'm one of them guys that I was born in '73, so I grew up in the late '70s, '80s, and ever since then, that was the money town. You had an idea, all of a sudden you see it on TV, going, man, I thought of that years ago. And I got involved in a lot of stuff that pushed me towards entertainment, but always something that adds, to entertainment. Whether you're trying to look for a good mic and trying to get a good camera, you also need good people, some good network, and again, starting in this business was a blessing, man. It's pretty much I was one of the top paralegals in Nashville. And I stopped studying law to be an actor, in the entertainment business. Of course, everything adds to it. You start working, then you start wanting, hey, man, I want to do my own TV show. Hey, man, I want to, then your entrepreneur mind goes crazy, thinking you're a filthy millionaire when you're only making 20 to 30,000 a year or less, something like that. But the good part is you grow a good network. You have people that the best part of indie filming is you have people who believe in the project, and they put their heart and souls into it. You're always going to have some bumps here and there in filming and so forth. But when you start writing and you try to get together a group of teams together, and you're trying to fulfill this writer's, mind, you're taking it out of his head and you're putting it into the visual for everybody, and this writer's nodding and saying, oh man, this is great. This is my dream, and that you're building a good team. It's hard, man. People just like, what do you do when you write? I was like, man, you just write of anything that's going on now, anything that you catch up, even a character could be built off just watching news. Could say, oh, this guy would be a good character we could do a TV show on, or whatever. You just got to write. It's the same thing as stocks. People go in stocks. What do you do throwing stocks in? It's what you go through everyday life, whether it's toilet paper, whether it's hand sanitizer, people wouldn't think of that twice. Now zinc, medicine, these are ideas people make money out of, just saying, I'm going to take a chance. And that's what we do in the independent world. And as a writer, producing, acting, man, I started out doing nothing, not making anything, to the point where they seen me as a market, where I started, not just being part of the project, but promoting it. It's expensive to do commercials. So you're busting your butt in social media, you're busting your butt throwing flyers, cards. I'm going through, being blessed enough that I continue to get good roles that gave me somewhat of a name, and it helps the market and it helps that product, to the point where I wish I could film indie movies from now on, unless I'm offered to be like the Brown Puma in a Marvel movie or something. That's a whole different story. Gotta get
well, I mean, that's like the caveat, right? Like,
Yeah.
we exist in the indie world, but hey, man, if some studio wants to swoop in and say, hey, I'm going to do this with you, like, I'll work on that. I'll do that all day long. But, I think it's the entrepreneur and the indie in me that will never, ever turn my back on doing indie work or the community.
No.
It doesn't matter if Marvel wanted to hire me to direct the next, whatever the fuck it's going to be. You know what I mean? Like, I would I'd come straight back to indie, because it's there are no rules. There's nobody to tell you what you can and can't say. There's nobody to tell you who you can and can't piss off.
Ain't that the truth? But it's great because indie work is straight out, you grow a bigger family. You see the talent, and these days in marketing, a lot of things is that you're overpaying, you're overpricing, you're overdoing because you don't know when your next gig is going to be. And I could see that, but in the indie world, we like, okay, all we got is $5 and maybe 15 sandwiches. Let's do something, and you end up making a great project, and it's an open market now with all the streaming and downloading. Everybody's breaking records in streaming now because of this little lockdown.
Yeah, I actually touched on that a couple of days ago. We went live and I touched on that. A buddy of mine sent me some reporting data on streaming titles on AVOD platforms like Tubi versus iTunes. And they compared two titles that are on both platforms, Tubi and iTunes. iTunes made, I think, $300 and some bucks, and the same titles on Tubi generated over $21,000.
I'm on Tubi. I got a lot of projects on Tubi.
Yeah, where do they go find them on Tubi?
Hey, they could watch Beast of the Water on Tubi. It's a horror sci-fi, just like Predator. Great cast that I mentioned earlier. Some great friends of mine created it and directed it from Sci-Fi Channel's Face Off, Rick Prince and Rashad Santiago. But you could catch that on Tubi. You could catch Rosalie, horror paranormal movie that we filmed in a real haunted facility in Dayton, Ohio, called Post Town Elementary School. It is a great movie. It's indie as its best and won awards for Best Horror Paranormal Movie, Best Special Effects. It's on Tubi. It's on Amazon Prime. It's all over the market. But it is a great movie. It's something that we did, and very happy to work with indie filmmakers, man.
Yeah, man. Well, I got to ask you because everybody who's watching is going to want to know. But I'm going to try to ask, I guess, in a little different spin. I'm going to try to ask from a filmmaker's point of view about your time on The Walking Dead. In terms of being part of a production that size, that large of a movable beast, right? I mean, that production is massive. It's the biggest production thing going on in Atlanta there. What's it like to go from the indie world to a machine that size?
Man, it wasn't a shock to me because before Walking Dead, I've been on so many sets, man. USA Network, Lifetime, ABC, some big projects, but I never been in a horror-based kind of project. And what people didn't know at that time, man, as much as it looks so huge on the screen, it's literally an independent group. It's like an indie group. You got maybe, of course, you're going to have more cameras and more little crew on that, but it's like a little pocket of each crew. And the funny thing is that I didn't even know what Walking Dead was. I was doing a mini series for Fox in Louisville, Kentucky, and I got a call from my agent telling me that they wanted me to come in to play this character, that it's featured, and maybe further episodes, reoccurring role. And they were telling me, "Oh, you're on The Walking Dead," and I was like, "Walking what? What's that about?" And they're like, "Well, you don't know what The Walking Dead is," and it just got crazy. But when I got on there, it was across the railroad tracks with two big hangars. And the hangars, that's their home base, man. 2 hangars and a lot of trailers surrounding the whole place. Maybe 1 or 2 tents, pop-up tents. And then they built the prison on the site. A lot of that stuff you see is really the real prison. It's made like real stuff. Bars, the cement, stairs, all that, man. They went all in out, even the tower and so forth. And you turn around and there's the 2 hangars, the set. They were already working on season 5 with some stuff for season 5 when we were filming right before mid-season 4. So, I mean, they're ahead of themselves. They work so good as a family. But when you see the explosions, the cameras, the way Nicotero's group goes in, man, and just does all these walkers and different kind of makeup, and you're like, oh my God, man, they're doing things in just rapid speed, compared to a hurry up and wait kind of routine. But they it felt like you were doing 2 movies at one time. That's how much stuff was going on. but they had their own little pockets where camera, director, writer, executive producers, everybody on there, just the media cast they need and so forth, and they get it done. They have their conversations cut. Let's talk the scene. Let's do a run through, dry through. Bam, you're in it. You can do 2-3 takes and they're on to the next. They're on it, man. They know how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely they do, man. They're a machine. I knew Greg years ago. We grew up in Pittsburgh, and he was always on it ever since I saw him starting to work when I was just a little kid watching him just starting out in the effects world.
Yeah,
everybody knew he was gonna go on to be something.
He's insanely gifted, man. Insane.
Yeah, no, he's a beast himself. Well, what do you think? What do you think the landscape is going to look like for the indie world after this whole coronavirus? Hey, look at that.
That's the poodle. That's Swayze Patrick. Yeah, he's named after the big guy, Patrick Swayze. But man, listen to this, and I'm very well connected with some good people that are involved in the distribution and bigger companies. Streaming is a hit. Mm-hmm. Streaming is a hit. I mean, you could put it on anything, any platform. I mean, it's easier to get distribution now than it was 15, 20 years ago. I mean, because everything is streaming, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, and you got to keep up with the market. For example, of course, everybody knows that Hulu and a lot of Fox is owned by Disney, and they're moving around their products. Hulu's taking a whole bunch of stuff out of Netflix, and they're putting it on Hulu, and then Disney Plus, of course, and there's other things. But you got to know that these are different, separate markets. Just because Hulu's bouncing out of Netflix, they're not taking anything. A lot of the stuff. Netflix is also dealing with Hulu, trying to keep certain things in the market, but at the same time, we are dealing with an empty, space fill. Horror is so huge. Paranormal is so huge. Family-friendly films are so huge. And even these documentaries are even getting bigger. Look at this Tiger King thing. Oh, God.
I haven't seen it yet. Anyway, everybody's telling me I got to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that attaches you, just like watching ID channel for like 5 hours or so. It just attaches you, and you're like, oh, I just need to see what the hell's going on. It's so silly, but you have to see what's going on.
Man, those are the kind of things. The ID channel is like a playbook for a happy marriage if you're a guy, Like,
yeah, I know. And it's paid my bills. They keep calling me to do stuff for them, so I paid my bills.
Yeah, you've done some of that stuff, huh?
Yeah, I've dealt with a lot of their stuff. And what's weird is that they throw a lot of money into them things. As much as people don't know, it's a good spot to get continuous work, man. I get paid decent money. And at the same time, you get decent production, then they get good contracts, doing these reenactments from small to shoot. I played Dodie Fayette in the Princess Diana story for Lifetime. That's connected with ID Channel. Same companies, they film. And it just brought me into even more projects to the point where they were calling my agent, hey, what's his schedule like, So it works, man. But, getting back to the independent, dude, man, me and some few friends of mine are in talks that work a lot of stuff with independent stuff. And we got into the door with some people in Netflix. And that's their major thing. Before all this happened is Netflix is looking for empty space to fill. Along with everybody else. But at the same time, they're looking at for, of course, cheaper with them owning it and their production working on it. They got like 10 production teams. I mean, it's unreal how much they want to, and you're still connected. Of course, you got to work the deal out with them and so forth. But think about it. You being a credit writer, credit producer, not just the acting, but, getting to be part of their team. And then I was like, what else do you have? And I'm over here, I sent like 9 or 10 things that I've written and had on the table and so forth. And of course, a lot of my partners that are involved in it threw 10 or 15 things on there and then gave them our network, from artists, from freelance artists from DC and Marvel to people that have produced or directed and did some good stuff, and that's the network you got to build. You know, you might say it's indie now, but you never know when the next Steven Spielberg is right there, or George Lucas. You know, and you're next thing you know, you did indies for them, and they're calling you to do something because you did them a favor. You know, so it's big. The market's big. At the same time, before this happened, rumorville was that Hollywood writers were going on strike.
Yeah.
You know, so if Netflix gets all these independent writers and they start production, and it's not, you know, Writers Guild, they got every right to continue the production and offer money to a lot of these independent artists, you know, and have an open contract. That's why a lot of people film in right to work states. You don't have to deal with all that union stuff, even though you could get paid union, but you can also work on an independent film production budget. But you get your name out. Some people like me, I end up trying to own certain merchandise or certain, 3% of the film or the project. At the same time, I'm working with their budget because they're like, hey, we're going to put this on Netflix, Hulu, whatever. I was like, I don't care, because once it comes out, I'm going to have 30 copies and I'm going to network it. I'm going to push it, you know. There's so much stuff out there and so much hit movies that you're like, where'd this come from? And you come to find out they're filmed 5 to 6 to 8 years ago, and they've always been there, and they become an instant success, like the Terrifier, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, we know about the Terrifier here at the Indie Brigade. We got a Terrifier panel going on tomorrow, you know.
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, dude.
Yeah,
I saw it 2018 I saw it. And then I was like, Netflix, it looked like a B movie. Put it on. I'm like, I'm in love with this movie. And immediately I said, this is a franchise. This is going to be a franchise, you know? And then I know the story, the backstories to it. Of course, you know, I networked and looked into it. Unbelievable, man. That's great stuff right there, man.
I don't know if they finished up the second one yet, but I know that they were almost finished shooting, I think, last week. But yeah, we're big fans of the Terrifier around here at the Brigade, man. And you're right, you know, but you something that you touched on was that you're going to get 30 copies and you're going to go market it yourself. That's something that I don't think a lot of indie folks, and this is something that I just started kind of talking about recently on the show, is that, you know, when you're an independent filmmaker, the art part is when you finally get the money together and you decide to roll camera. The art is when you're rolling camera or when you're writing your script. The rest of the time, it's a product. It's a business. You got to be a businessman. You got to be a business person, and you got to talk about this stuff. Nobody's going to pitch your stuff like you. Nobody's going to market your stuff like you. Nobody's going to get out there and hustle it. You know, you don't want a guy who's full on stake to go in and negotiate.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't want the
it's business. Number one is business. You got to know how, you know, whether you're doing 2 or 3 jobs like myself and still consider myself an actor, you know, and whatever. I look at the business first. You know, okay, posters, merchandise, action figures, independent film, movie theaters, you know, film festivals, podcasts, you know, just constant like that. Because, you know, it takes one person to get a good streak. You know, I've been blessed with a lot of great shows that got me on the market. At the same time, that also equals sales. You know, oh my God, Santiago on The Walking Dead is on Rosalie or Beast of the Water. Look who he has with him, Power Rangers, WE Superstar. You know, and that all grows, and they'll remember that face, and they'll remember the name, and then they'll end up following. You know, you can gain over 25% of extra income just on social media alone. You know, and it's just the way you have to work it, you know?
But that's because you got to look at yourself like a brand. I mean, you got to develop a brand around yourself. You got to develop a brand around your projects and about everything you're working on, right? And that's something you're really good at. I know that about you, and I got a lot of respect for you for that. You know, that's something else not a lot of young artists don't realize and don't think about when they're just starting out. They just want to get their stuff made, and that's respectful too, but respectable too. But there's that branding part, that big picture thinking. And I love that that you include entrepreneur in the producer, the writer, the actor, the entrepreneur, because they're all the same fucking thing.
Right, the same exact thing. I mean, it don't matter what part of this industry you get into, whether it be a mic guy, sound guy, edit guy, you're gonna end up being a producer, writer, director, a grip guy. You're going to end up knowing all these different apps, different functions to do. Independent, man, I've seen people do full-fledged movies with like 4 people. I mean, it's that way it is. But no matter what part, you know, you're an actor, you're gonna end up being behind the camera doing stuff. That's just the way it is, and that's a great learning. But the problem is, a lot of these fantastic actors ruin it for a lot of people. And I say it, you know, that if you look at it, they forget about the whole independent world, the whole struggle to make it where you're at, you know, and why are we fighting in a lot of these right to work state where they're not funding filming as much as they should. You know, small towns, small communities, they need to speak out because that's where the money's at. That's where the money goes. You know, a lot of indie filmmakers, they don't want to film in a city. They don't want to go through all that red tape. We'd rather go through a small town like Hallmark. Look how many famous towns made it or known because of the Hallmark channel. And what people don't know is you hire locals. You hire a lot of great, you buy from a lot of great local small businesses. Then you hire jobs. You get locals working. Then you get it out there. Then it becomes a tourist attraction. Then you raise the revenue. And that's all with a $30,000 to $50,000 minimum movie, you know, and you're bringing in hundreds to millions of dollars to these towns, you know, and that's one thing that hurts me with all of these big actors is a lot of them been on a lot of these film festivals, but they never, you know, they never work back. They never tried, not all of them, but most of them never work back to try to support, to change these laws, to help independent filmmaking be more popular. Look at the streaming that's going on out there. You know, there's so much stuff that so many great ideas that are being buried just because it's hard to get the funds, you know, whether it's $10,000 to $15,000, you know, or whatever.
Yeah, man. And you know, a lot of these tax incentives, they get chewed up with the cap and they get chewed up with the big budget stuff coming in. And, you know, a lot of states that have tax incentives don't really understand the bigger picture of how they could work, you know, because of certain states that have had successes with big individual projects, you know. But, you know, the reality is like the state of Kentucky had a tax incentive. They put a moratorium on it because I think that they were under the impression that they wanted, you know, Marvel to come in, right, and build a studio, as opposed to realizing that if you don't worry about whether or not Marvel's going to come in and you put your tax incentive into, you know, 100 $1 million or less films a year, they're going to shoot all over your state. They're not going to come in and set up a sound stage in your biggest city that doesn't need the help. They're going to come in and shoot all over the state, and all those little towns and all those little communities are going to get a cash infusion. And like you just said, it changes entire states' economic landscapes when film comes in. You know, and I think it's cool that you recognize that, man. And I think it's cool that you do your part to give back on that. You know?
Yeah, man, it's a thing I do.
Yeah,
I film all over the United States, Arkansas. I love Kentucky, man.
Yeah, man.
I've been in a lot of stuff in Kentucky that I filmed. You know, and I live in Nashville, and to me, that's like 4 or 5 hours. You know, driving, commuting. You know, I love traveling other states, but it's always good to work from home. And as you can see, you know, Tennessee and Kentucky has been always tight because of Fort Campbell, where I was stationed at when I was at the Army. And it's great because it's such a country, southern hospitality, kind of great areas for filming in every genre. I mean, you could go from filming westerns to filming futuristic stuff because the land, the property's there. You know, and the market for farming is going into up and down spiral. You know, you get raining seasons, you don't get raining seasons. You get upper taxes in food, and everything's going overseas, where a lot of these farmers are now opening their fields for filming. You know, hey, film a project here, you're paying my taxes for 3 years.
That's right.
And next thing you know, it catches the eye of another film. Hey, I heard you filmed this movie here. Well, I want to film a movie here. And it keeps going and going. And that's how it works, man. The Kentucky film industry, man, you got to invest in it. It's a great thing they're doing. And more they push it to do more, but they have to go in more deep into the independent films. That's where the money's at.
Well, yeah. And you know what? You and I talked a little bit offline, but I'm looking forward to talking to you a little bit more after the DEF CON about some of the stuff I'm working on here to kind of do that here in Kentucky. So I don't know what your week looks like next week, but let's hop on the phone, man. I got to.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, I gotta jump off of here because I got 2 minutes. But I can't thank you enough for being part of DEF CON 1, man. You want to tell anybody where they can find you online? And
man, find me all over social media, and Santiago Cirilo, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. But just everybody out there, man, entrepreneur, if you're trying to fulfill your dreams, do it, man. Fulfill your dreams, follow your dreams, conquer your dreams, and never give up, man. Live life, and hopefully everybody's free from all this Corona stuff, and we'll get back to work.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you so much for coming on and giving us some of your time today, buddy. Stay safe, stay healthy, man.
Hey, you're more than welcome. Live life. Live life. Hiya!
Talk later.
See you next time.
What a cool guy, man.
Well, I believe that would be considered a successful first half.
Yeah, buddy. We finished block 1, day 1, block 1 down.
Whew.
The graphics were fucking my brain up yesterday, though. I couldn't get it right. Day 1, block 1. Day 2, block 2. Fuck me all up, Joe. Just gonna take a sip of coffee on that one.
Well, so let's explain to the ladies and gentlemen out there what's going to happen now.
I have no idea. You're the producer, so you made all of these things.
It's interrupted. I was trying to tell them. Damn it, George.
Sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, so we're going to end this broadcast.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
We're going to end this broadcast. We're going to take a half-hour break. Exactly, Keith. That's what we need to do also. But we're going to take a half-hour break, and we will be coming on with a new broadcast at 6 p.m. Eastern. So we will see you shortly. I did have to cut the original intro because I wasn't sure if that was interfering with the gentleman's broadcast earlier. So I'm going with our original one, and I will have the new one up for the next half.
Thank you, everybody, for joining DEF CON 1, Day 1, Block 1, first online convention. Romero Pictures, Heavy Metal Magazine, the Indie Brigade, me, George C. Romero, this guy, Joe Ridgely. Everything's fucking great. To be an indie means we buck a system that doesn't want us. To be a fringe filmmaker means we don't do it for them. We do it for ourselves. To be an outlaw on the fringe means we'll die before we fail. Be an outlaw.